you don't have to be a Giga Chad to be frustrated about the audio, but when you die to the Giga Chad that's running around not even knowing he's abusing the fact that the audio doesn't update fast enough, it's just going to feel bad, and I just don't want you to feel bad. Papa loves you. You know what I mean? So, I don't know.
Yeah, are we their two dads?
Yes. We are concerned about this so that you don't have to be. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast, the show dedicated to talking about all the poggers things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I'm one of your co-hosts, JesseKazam.
And I'm caught off guard.
And I wasn't ready for the intro.
What up, dude?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Man, my stomach hurts. My stomach's bothering me.
Oh no!
Too much McDonald's and Japanese food. I think
Japanese food sounds delicious.
Yeah, except it's not like the good, high quality, nice, fresh Japanese food. I've been getting my local mall food court Japanese food delivered.
Yeah.
Because it's like
delivered
on Uber Eats. Yeah,
food
I mean,
court?
listen, dog. I streamed 15 hours yesterday.
Damn.
I ain't nobody got time for making food.
Oh yeah, I definitely totally feel that. I DoorDash McDonald's all the time, but I just didn't know that I guess the DoorDash guys don't care. They'll hop into the mall real quick and pick it up, or Uber Eats or whatever. Yeah, it's just funny.
Yeah, and it's not super far. So yeah, for all these Sarku Japan enjoyers, I don't know if that's like a local place.
Oh
or
no,
if that's
Sarku
like...
Japan is classic mall. When I worked at Apple originally, we were so poor, dude, and sometimes I wouldn't bring lunch, and on my lunch break, I would just walk around the mall food court getting samples, and I would do I would do 4 loops, and just that was it, man.
So based.
That was lunch, bro. 4
Dude,
loops around the food court.
One loop, part your hair the other way, over the other side.
Yeah.
Another loop, put on a hat. Another loop.
They had to have known because I'm in like a bright blue Apple logo shirt, but they gave it to me anyway.
Yo, I don't know if this is like a thing. I don't know why this is like hitting me as a memory, but I remember there was a period of time in my local mall where it was like a race to the bottom for all of the like Chinese food restaurants. They were all fighting to the point where it was like $5.99 for 4 sides, $5.99 for 5 sides, $4.99 for 6 sides, $3.99 for 10 sides.
We'll
it was
pay
to the
you
point where they're
to
like,
eat here.
Dude, literally, like there was like an arms race at my local mall food court. I don't even remember when this was or how I would have been like going to the mall frequently enough. This must have had to have been like college or something, but I just remember there was a period of time where like it was legitimately the opposite of like a monopoly, like raising prices. It was like
competition at all costs. Like
we will give you 4 sides as a sample, and then it's $1.99 for another 10 sides with a free drink.
That's insane.
Those were the days.
The good old days.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what you been up to? I saw you playing some Hearthstone. Any Tarkov this week?
Yeah, no, I was playing Magic.
Oh, Magic.
I was playing Magic, yeah. I played one Tarkov raid in the last 96 hours. It was earlier today.
Yeah, it was like a banger.
I mean, it was like I wanted to do an Interchange raid to see the lighting because I saw a bunch of clips and stuff that you sent me and other stuff that people posted.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like half fixed.
Yeah,
I feel there's still places where it's insanely dark
for sure,
and then you have to counteract that by like jacking up your fucking gamma and on your monitor and in the post effects, and then you turn on a flashlight and you can't see, right?
Yeah.
So it's like so it's still it's better,
yeah,
but like it still just feels infinitely worse than most of the other maps
for sure.
Well, the only reason why I say that is because Interchange, the entire map, is just like the worst part of all the WAPs.
The mall,
yeah, like reserve basement.
Exactly.
And some of the buildings in like customs are like just stupidly dark.
But
and it's not even dark. It's like a weird foggy haze.
Yeah. That's like 10% of those maps, but functionally 90% of Interchange is inside the damn mall. So you get that feeling everywhere. Yeah.
And when I spawned in, it was daytime. I spawned in and it was like painfully bright, which was like a bug for a long time.
Back in the day, yeah.
It's a new, or at least like I think it's back, or it's a different incarnation of the same bug, or if it's a new bug, I'm not sure, but you're back to it being like painfully bright outside, still kind of dark inside. It's just not like everybody's been talking about the lighting was fixed. They in fact broke the lighting.
Yeah.
They broke the lighting. They just reduced the fog.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. So it's like because we've had this conversation so many times, I came in with tempered expectations. I know I was kind of going crazy on Twitter, all caps, like, did they finally fix Interchange? But down in my gut, I knew because, and the proof that I knew is just to listen to any other episode of the podcast where I talked about Interchange, because I said this verbatim many times in my chat and many times on the podcast. Interchange lighting is broken. Like something is fundamentally broken. And on top of that broken lighting, they put a bunch of stupid fog that makes it hard to see and makes flashlights useless because they just reflect off the fog like high beams. And I've even said before, a lot needs to be done to fix the lighting in Interchange. But in the meantime, if they just completely removed the fog, it would make it so much better. And that's exactly what it did. They removed the fog from Interchange, and I ran around and I was like, wow, this is insane. It's so much better. It's still too dark, and all of the places it was broken, it's still broken, but you can see farther into the brokenness, which is better. And flashlights are actually valuable now because they illuminate dark areas. They don't just reflect off of the fog and blind yourself. I've found flashlights to be much, much, unless you've turned up your own post effects, but like
in open areas, yes.
Yeah.
Like, but like, I went for the second time ever into that like green med room on the second floor. On Interchange, which I literally I never knew that existed.
Yeah, I know.
I think
I don't know what it's called, but I know what room you're talking about.
And it was like dark in there, so I turned on my flashlight, but you have to shine the light away from everything you're trying to look at.
Yeah,
because it's too bright. If you shine it on in the direction of like a shelf, you can't see.
And that goes back to like just the brokenness of it. There are some rooms like remember when the filter controversy was happening, and I sent you the clip of me toggling on and on the filters, and I was in German, which is down in the across from Mantis, across from the Metro German, and you were like, I've never seen that wall before. Like you just never even seen the inside. In that room, turning on a flashlight lights everything up really, really well. But sometimes you're walking around and your flashlight will hit like a bookshelf, not even a metallic thing, like a bookshelf, and it'll reflect back at you and you can't see anything and you have to pull and it's like, that's a wooden bookshelf. Why is that reflecting light back into my face? So there's definitely stuff that's broken, but it looks so much better without the fog. Just being able to like bring a voodoo and like, oh, I can make out it's dark back there, but I can make out that there's layers, and if something runs by, I can see it. I'm not looking through haze, you know what I mean? Like it actually felt good, but people thought that they fixed the lighting and they didn't. The lighting is still broken. There's lots of weirdness where like,
well, it's even more broken than it ever was.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, it's not just the lighting. Like it's not, so there's two different ways to define the lighting.
Yeah.
There's like the way that things are, like the way that like light reflects off of things and is dispersed through, like when it comes through the skylight.
Yes.
But it's like dark on the floor. Like that's one way of looking at lighting. And then there's the fucking lights, like the fluorescent lighting above, where like you take a step back, turns off, take a step forward, turns on, take a step back.
That's a new bug. And I sent that. Yeah, I sent that in. Where there's and it's not consistent. It's not every light, but sometimes if you're directly underneath. Now that is also, I believe, linked to a separate bug we'll talk about later, but that's absolutely a thing. Yeah, the lighting on Interchange is still atrocious in the sense that like like what we have on Interchange is the lighting equivalent of a hot rod on a table in streets that's uninteractable. Like it's fake. It's not real. The skylight lighting, that's just, they just painted a lighter color onto Interchange. There isn't light coming through because light doesn't interact that way. Light is not, it's not like a laser light where it's like the sun's underneath, so it just only illuminates what's down below, because that's what we have. You can take one step in and it's super bright, you're under the skylight, and one step out and it's like, where is everybody? And that's just not how light works. And so we have some sort of trickery where it's not real. And that also,
it's like they pre-baked in the lights.
Yeah.
Like the static lights, they pre-baked it with like the wrong parameters. And that's why when you like walk over certain things, it doesn't cast a shadow.
Yes.
Some lights will let you cast a shadow and other lights won't.
Yes. Because some of it feels not real, just like almost painted on or brightness adjusted. And then similar things, the fluorescent lights are oftentimes just broken too, where this is so interesting. Like if you're underground and you're like looking through the parking garage, and you know how you can see the fluorescent lights and they cast this really just like cone. It's like, this is bright. If you walk in under one of those cones, you can see farther into the parking garage, which makes no sense. It's like if you're standing under the light, the game is like, it's brighter, but everywhere. It doesn't act like, does that make sense? It's like weird.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And I'm trying to think as like a software engineer, how you had to fuck that up.
I don't know. It's not crazy, but you can just notice that when you're under a light, you can see better, which sounds dumb. Don't come at me in the comments. If you're under a light, you can see better in front of you. But if I'm under a fluorescent light, that shouldn't affect my ability to see 100 yards in front of me where there is no light, but it kind of does on Interchange. So like the lighting is still busted, and I don't know. And the reality is I don't know how to fix it. I don't know. Like there's all sorts of cool, like, you know, ray tracing and all the sexy stuff and all the stuff in Unreal and Lumen and all these things. I'm not saying that those are required. I'm not saying I need to blow my mind. Similar with sound, I want passable first, and then we can move on to like really cool technologies. And the light is busted. But we definitely took a huge step forward by them removing the fog. It's the visibility is so much better, and you can use flashlights. Now, I will say, I did most of my testing in offline raids because I wanted to go everywhere. Another reason why the lights are baked in, why I believe the lights are baked in, the day they did the patch, it was raining, full-blown hurricane thunderstorm raining outside. And the first time I did an offline raid, I forgot to change the weather. It was as online. So I spawned into an offline raid where it was just like raining, disgusting, overcast, no sun. But I went around and I could still tell a difference because there was no fog. And then I stood at a very particular spot where I could see close, medium, and far away. And I took a screenshot. I left that raid. I then re-entered a new offline raid with Airwing, set the weather to noon, no fog. So it was as bright as it could be. Went back in the mall, took this screenshot from the same exact spot. I promise you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Which also shows that like those skylights don't do anything, right? Like the difference between a hurricane and a bright summer day with no fog would be very apparent in the level of lighting. But the screenshots look virtually identical. So that's like another thing that kind of shows when there's just like outside the mall and in the mall. Those are the two lighting zones, and they don't really interact as much. But anyways, I was doing offline raids. I was like, this is sick. This looks better. And someone in my chat came in and was like, Interchange doesn't look any different. In fact, I think it looks worse. And I was like, I just instantly went into like, stop being such a negative Nancy. You're so like, I was so aggressive. And he was like, dude, in the basement, I can't tell. It doesn't look, it looks worse. I don't know. And I was like, yeah, whatever. We did our offline testing. And then Airwing was like, what do you want to do? I was like, let's do Interchange. We went into an online raid. We spawned in, we ran underground, and me and Airwing were like, why does it look so bad? It was so dark. I legitimately thought someone was throwing the Russian long skinny smoke grenades. You know how that's just like black? Like that doesn't do anything. It's just like black smoke. I thought somebody was doing that under there. And then the guy,
like a totally different bug.
And the guy in chat was like, this is what it looks like for me. That guy, he was like, I've been trying to tell you, I didn't know how to explain it. This is what it looks like for me. And I was like, what the hell? It looked so weird. So then we went upstairs, online raid, and I was standing in Ollie, and there was one of the just shelves where you can like find gas analyzers directly in front of me, 10 feet in front of me. On the right side of the shelf, it was darkness. It looked like a smoke grenade was going off. And on the left side of the shelf, I could see all the way to the other side of Ollie. Super clear, no fog. And I was like, what the hell? And this guy was like, I'm telling you, bro, I don't know. And then, so I went to the right side of the shelf in the dark area, and it seems to all be, there's many of the bugs that have come up since this patch seem distance spaced. As I stared into the darkness and I just was walking forward, it just went, and it lit up, and it was as bright as the other side. And I backed up, so it feels like what the fog did, there's just like a brightness slider that's happening. Because like one of the TikToks I made to show how bad the fog was is I stood in front of this giant blue dumpster and I backed up, and you would watch the dumpster just engulf in fog.
Yep.
And you could do it. And so the very first thing I did on Monday, whenever they did this patch, I found that dumpster and I recreated that TikTok, and I could walk 30, 40, 50 feet back, farther back than in the original TikTok, and I could still see the dumpster. And that was why I was like, look, the fog is gone. I'm not saying that the lighting is better, but look, do you see how the fog and the lighting are different? The fog would just consume things and you couldn't see it anymore. The fog's not there. That's cool. This is different, but it's like that because the fog, that's how the fog interacted with you. The farther you were away from something would like engulf it. It felt like that, but with just brightness. There was no fog. It was just as I walked farther away from parts of the map, they would get darker and darker and darker and darker. But it wasn't...
all the fog's probably still there. They just turn the opacity down.
Yeah, exactly. But what was weird is that it wasn't like, dude, you can watch, if you don't believe me, anyone watch, you can watch all this in my VOD. But it wasn't consistent because I would just look the other direction and it was clear and I could see all the way to the back of the wall, just like it looked like an offline. So I don't know if there's an online offline bug. I did multiple offline raids and never had any issues. It was looking so beautiful. And it wasn't until we started doing online raids that the bunker and some of the places inside legitimately felt like the smoke grenades were being thrown. There was an actual interaction, a fight with PMCs where I was calling to Airwing. I said, did you throw a smoke? Because he was throwing the smokes a bunch because he was testing them because they did stuff to them. And I was like, did you throw a smoke? And he was like, no, I didn't. I was like, somebody did right there. Do you see that? And he was like, it's dark over there. I was like, no, but right there. There's no way you don't see the black spot. Somebody threw a smoke. And I walked up into it and all the smoke, and it just disappeared. And there was no smoke grenade. And I was like, what? So it's weird, man. It's inconsistent. All of the bugs. It's like, it's hard to freaking get them to come every time. But there is additional lighting bugs on Interchange for sure.
Yeah, a ton of new ones that hopefully they can address. Like the way I look at it is if they make a change and the change is good and it introduces some negatives, if they can fix those negatives in like a day or two, then as far as I am concerned, the negatives, write it off. It's fine. It's not a big deal. But the problem is what ends up happening is that the negatives are going to be in the game 2 years from now.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
so that's the hard part of it, because like, I completely agree with you. I can't agree with you more that the line for me is not, does a fix introduce new bugs? A lot of people, that's where their line is. And I think that's unreasonable. The line is, do the bugs that get introduced get addressed in a timely manner? Because what's the thing we say about Tarkov's code? What's the biggest meme? Spaghetti code, right? It's spaghetti code. If you acknowledge that Tarkov has spaghetti code, then if you're intelligent enough, you have to acknowledge that then fixes to the game are going to cause other issues, because that's the definition of spaghetti code, right? Like them doing one fix isn't going to magically fix everything. The definition of spaghetti code is that it's so unorganized on the back end that a fix is going to break something else. It's just, so that's a good thing. That's combing. I don't know why I'm thinking of combing spaghetti, but that's combing out the spaghetti and straightening it back out, right? Is you gotta find the new thing and fix it. The thing is, exactly like you said, when you make a fix and that fix breaks 3 other things, are those 3 broken things in the game for 2 years, or are they addressed in a timely manner? That's my line, because we need to break things if we've got spaghetti code, we need to break some things to fix them. It means by definition, they're unaware of how many things are broken. So to become aware of what is broken, they must fix things, and then that makes them aware of other broken things. So like that is absolutely my line as well. I'm so you and me have talked about this before, but I get so frustrated whenever there's a new Tarkov patch because I try to be objective about it. And I'm constantly fighting off the people that come in and be like, yo, good job, BSG. They fixed it. It's perfect. What a great patch. They're so great. And I'm like, I mean, this bug is bad. We should this is bad. And then the other people come in and be like, ha, freaking classic BSG. Fix one thing, break three more. This patch sucks. Interchange doesn't even look any different. And I'm like, well, you're stupid too. You know what I mean? And so it's just like, I'm like battling both sides because I'm trying to be like, this is good. This should be addressed. This is good. But yeah, it's been
I was thinking
a cluster.
Earlier today, I had the thought, I don't even remember what the context was, but it was the thought that for the longest time, we've talked about like QA, and there's the meme that everybody has where it's like, what QA, right?
Yeah.
Like how could this get past QA?
Yeah.
And it suddenly occurred to me that that's not like necessarily the problem.
Yeah.
A lot of times what ends up happening in software projects, and I'm now that I think about it, I'm just far more inclined to think that this is the case, that where QA, they probably find most of these obvious things, and what all QA does is report the bugs.
Yes.
And then the developers and the decision makers, the product people, the managers, the whoever, depending on the structure of your company, are the ones that sign off on whether or not the fix goes in, and then prioritizing whether or not the change goes in that introduces any issues, and if it's better or worse. Like there are times where it's like, hey, we fixed a crash that was, it was crashing everybody's application, 80% of the sessions, but it introduced this other issue where now like this one screen doesn't load. They're like, fucking push it out now, because people can't use the app, right? Like, so it's entirely possible that like, I doubt this is the case also, but there's a world in which like the QA people are like, here are 17 issues.
They're great at
with
their jobs.
This thing.
Yeah.
And whoever's in charge, whether it's Nikita or whether it's PM folks or team leaders or, whatever, are like, that's fine. It is what it is. And like downplay the issues. And I think like misunderstanding, we talked about this before, misunderstanding how painful some of these issues are when you play the game for any extended period of time, and how they affect the overall experience. It's so easy for Nikita to think, oh, okay, so you mean there's like some weird flickering lights in a few places? Whatever. It's better. Everybody's been bitching about the thing. We gave them the thing. This other thing isn't a big deal, without realizing like how many times it'll get you killed, which will get you frustrated because you're back in your stash to deal with the other bullshit. It can just ruin the fucking game. For, every one of these things just contributes and compounds and compounds and compounds. So that's just something to keep in mind too, that like maybe their QA isn't dog shit, and maybe like the decision makers are diminishing these issues and don't think that they're important.
That's a great point. The reality is it's probably a combination of all of it, right? Like there's probably some big things that QA missed that they shouldn't have, but there's also probably some big things that QA brought up. But like if you ever want to empathize with it, think about how frustrated you were, player, when the invisibility bug was in the game, and when you were talking about it with your friends all the time. You were watching streamers; they were talking about it. It was all over Reddit, and you were like, "Why doesn't anything happen?" QA sucks. But think about what you'd feel like if you were the QA guy and you were playing, and you're like, "Hey, in like every single one of my raids, someone's invisible," and you submit that, and then nothing happens, and everybody's going, how did this get past QA? QA sucks. It's like, how would you feel to have been like, I mean, we don't fix it. By definition, the QA team, they're not fixing the bugs. They're just saying, we found this bug. Do you want to push the patch or not? You know what I mean? So the reality is it's impossible to determine how effective their QA team is. and stuff like that. But I do agree that there's an important point to be made there, because when we misunderstand how game development works, or how like those things are structured, and we just blame the wrong people, that doesn't help anybody either. But similarly, what you said is also true when you get into like the, quote unquote corporate side of things. If you're not somebody that's actively playing the game and you misunderstand how big of a bug something really is, that's pretty detrimental too. Like,
not even just a bug too, like user experience stuff.
Yes. Yeah. That's probably like one of the most egregious, like that. The whole UI of Tarkov, it feels like it was written by a guy just trying to check things off a checklist. We need a UI for this, I made a UI for that. We need a UI for this, I made a UI for that. And not like, how do these UIs come together to create a cohesive experience? So yeah, it is hard to tell with like QA and stuff like that. There are definitely like, and the good and an interesting part of that is like the sound, right? Like, I can't believe that they put Oculus, like I talk about this all the time on stream. I can't believe they put Oculus audio in the game, or switch to the new engine without adding the occlusion zones to 3 of the maps. I can't, it made those 3 maps completely unplayable, and that is crazy to me. That's not QA's fault. Like, everybody knew. Everybody from top to bottom of the food chain knew that that's what they were doing. It's not like that slipped past. But to me, I'm like, that was an egregious thing. Like, they should have just waited and waited to migrate the engine over. I don't know, until they had it all. Because even with the change that came on Monday or Tuesday, I don't know, I think Tuesday, they didn't address interchange. So now the manual occlusion zones are everywhere but interchange.
Yeah.
And it's like,
the map that they just like motivated everybody to go play.
Yeah, which, understand, interchange might be more complicated than X, Y, or Z because of how many. There's a lot more, whatever.
No, there should just be like fucking 3 occlusion zones.
I know. At bare minimum, there should literally
floor,
the old school factory
basement.
Ones where you would just like, as soon as you would peek your head up, you were in the new occlusion zone. Even that would be infinitely better than what we have.
Because you'd have like 4 escalators, and that would be the only places in the world where it would ever be fucking relevant.
Exactly. So I don't understand why they put that in, but that's surely not QA's fault. It's not like, you know what I mean? So it's...
But there's a difference too between like... There's different kinds of QA people. And I've worked with all kinds of... I remember we had a QA guy. His name was Ravi. He was... Everybody on the QA team when I was in the robotics industry, they were all from India, and they were all the fucking greatest, smartest, best QA team I've ever worked with. I know, like, I'm not even gonna get into any of the unfair biases and prejudices that folks have in the engineering world to people from all over the world. But needless to say, they were fantastic. They were the types of people that would, when you would say as a developer, hey, I just finished this feature. Can you look into A, B, and C? Make sure that's working. They would say A works, B works, C, there's this one specific edge case where if you do this thing that 2% of the people will do, it breaks. And then also D and E are issues that you didn't think of. And it was like, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, because I don't want my shit to break. So I'd go in and fix all the things and add the unit tests, and it was like fantastic. And then we also had a couple people over the course of my career where you'd have QA folks that would say, everything's fine. Yeah. And that, as an engineer, when you do something even remotely complex and the QA team goes, all good, that's when you're like...
It's like stressful. More stressful than feedback.
I'm like, everything is good. Like you should be able to break everything, right? Yeah. Like, even if you have to do the most ridiculous thing, like QA's job should be to break it in every possible way. But so the other piece of this is going out of their way to really think about what the experience is going to be. Like, that's above and beyond QA. I bet you they do all these changes to the audio, and they probably go through an offline raid, like a QA guy, an offline raid with like bots turned on, and they run around and they think like, okay, everything's fine, like nothing, it didn't crash, everything seems like okay. So many people, as we've established before, are just ignorant about how sound works, about all these things. So they're like, it doesn't seem broken, everything's fine. there's no crashes, no nothing, without actually doing the things that like I do when I do these science videos, where it's like run left to right, I'm gonna turn my back, you know, like
up and down stairs where the pressure points have been. Not
what's it like to be on indoors versus outdoors, and there's a window where there's glass, or when the glass is shot out, or when the door's open, like all of these things. Like if you want to do all these cool technological things with the sound and all this stuff, using all these frameworks that are supposed to do really cool shit, you should like, I don't know. What I wonder is if the QA people like work together in teams to say, all right, let's go into a raid on our like live. They should have their own like live quote unquote staging servers. Where if two QA guys hit start raid at the same time on two different machines, they'll go into an online raid, which is an exact server copy. You know, not like a co-op raid, but like an actual online, and then test out the sound or any shooting, ballistics, health, you know, like test those things out. Like you almost need multiple people to be able to do these things, I think. Yeah, man, I don't know. I just wonder. It
definitely leaves a lot to be desired and questioned, and obviously we don't know. They could have a great group of guys. They could have an intern in between coffee breaks. Who knows what their QA team looks like. Like, for me, it comes back to, like, for all the people, you know, some of them were joking, some of them were serious in chat being like, well, it's a beta, we're QA. You know what I mean? It's a beta. To me, that argument really rests on the game's ability and education on how to get information about bugs from the player. Like if you want to ride that argument down, like we're QA, like then you need to understand how QA works. QA people don't just like go into the game, break something, and then clock out for the day. The QA departments, it's their responsibility to then detail and document what broke and give it back to the engineers that worked on it, right? But
that's how you report your bugs.
The game, but that's what I'm saying. The game doesn't educate its player base on how to report bugs. Its interface with reporting bugs is the most ridiculous thing. And when you report a bug, I mean, in the middle of conversation on a bug I reported that I feel like is from fairy tale land. I can't even.
And now, and not that you didn't before, but you understand why when I had that conversation with the CMs at BSG before I made my video about the bug reporting thing, when they were like, you didn't report the bug, and I'm like, yeah, because they fucking waste my time.
Exactly.
And they were like, oh, you really gonna say they waste your time? How can you say that? Give me an example. And it's like, dog, I'm not gonna take like, if you don't know, as a CM for multiple years, if you don't know what I mean when I say it feels like they fucking waste my time, then you don't deserve your fucking job there. You know? Like,
yeah, so it just like to me, that's where it comes down to, is just like, do we as the player feel like, if we're going to be the beta testers through the lens of we actually want to help educate BSG on what's wrong, do you answer this for yourself? Do you feel like you do that? Do you feel like you like educate? Like, I feel like, and because there's a really bad system for reporting bugs, and because that whole system is busted. It's not broken. You can report a bug just fine, but it's like, in my opinion, a bad system. What they've done is what has happened is, in that void of information, subconsciously, I believe that most players of the game just assume that they've got like Hackerman's 8 people with 64 monitors, and they're just like monitoring us all playing. And they're like, oh, there was an invisible player in that raid, we should investigate. You know what I mean? And they're not. That's not how it works. They're not like monitoring your specific game session, and every time you run into a bug, you go, good thing I'm beta testing. I ran into this bug. They'll fix it. Like, they need information about the bugs. That's how it works. That's why we've had bugs that went for a really long time that were super simple fixes, that because it was brought up to Nikita. And so, like, do you feel like you playing the game educates BSG on where things are broken, on those bugs? If not, then you're not a QA. You're a beta tester, but you're not QA. If you want to be QA, then let's implore Battlestate Games to make reporting a bug easier and better and not like a super weird. Once again, you can't report the bug in game, so you have to Alt F4. You report, so then you have to leave the game state. You report the bug via the launcher, but then all of the follow-up questions can't be done in the launcher. They have to be done on the website. So you have to interface with 3 different things to accurately report a bug. I don't get email notifications if they ask me an additional question about the bug. It's just like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe that's how it is. And maybe that's how bug reporting is in other games too. But it just like, it feels like that's very not an optimized situation.
No, I mean, like the people that say that, we're all the QA testers, so the problems are with the game or with how we report them or whatever the fuck it is that people are saying. It reminds me of the people that are like, oh, isn't the United States government like a government of the people and for the people? So if you have problems with the government, like it's your fault. It's like, yeah, that's not an over fucking simplification of the state of affairs, right? Like, let me go vote so I can fix everything. Like that ain't how it works, man. It's more complicated than that.
Yeah.
But like the idea that we're all QA testers, what I just described to you about like the difference between a QA tester doing the basics and like a great QA tester, the chasm between a QA tester doing the basics, a great QA tester, is as big as the chasm, if not that might actually be a smaller chasm than a QA tester and the average gamer playing the game.
Yeah.
What you actually, so expecting the community to be the QA is nonsense. Just for like philosophically, it might make sense that you could argue that, but let's be practical. Let's be pragmatic. It's a giant fucking waste of time. What's far more useful is getting a small subset of very knowledgeable, experienced people to be able to do that stuff. And you don't even need to like reward them. But I remember we had a few people that were like really technical when I was in the robotics industry, really technical. One of the guys was like, he was like the head of the UX team.
Yeah.
He wasn't like an engineer, but it was like smart enough that he knows how to break things and know how to test things, but also removed enough that he's not a QA guy and not an engineer and is closer to a normal user, but with a technical background and background knowledge about the product and the engineering.
Yeah.
So that you could sit down in a room with him and be like, hey, I did A, B, and C. These are the steps to reproduce. It seems like there might be an edge, that's why, like what I hate to say it, but like, if I could sit down one-on-one with a developer, you give me an hour, I will give them infinitely more information about 2 or 3 major issues than 10,000 random people
playing
hitting
games
submit
and
bug.
reporting bugs. Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's just the case.
No,
that's just the case.
Yeah.
I know what information is going to be useful. I can communicate it without the bullshit middleman.
And that's not a ridiculous thing. You literally have a background in software engineer, and I don't. Of course, your feedback on anything is going to be better. And the thing is that
but you could too. It's like it's power users.
Yeah, true. That makes sense. There's the fact that you have a software background, but then what you're talking about is more like somebody that 6,000 hours in the game versus 100. I just know how to break things in Tarkov a lot better. When they do a patch, I know like when they do an audio patch in on Shoreline, I'm not running around the pier. I'm going right to the resort to this staircase where I know it was busted. But that's the thing, is that like there's layers to it. There's layers to it. Absolutely. There's like stress testing. Like a big thing in the Star Citizen patch was that like they knew the patch wasn't ready, but they couldn't get enough people to play on their it's called the PTU, where it's like where they're testing a new patch. They couldn't get enough people to play, so they just pushed the patch and it broke because it like everybody was playing and there was like stress testing, and there's a certain amount of that you can only do with just in a live environment with people. But there's layers to like the amount of feedback. Like, so a few messages were saying like, somebody said like Satisfactory used something for bug reporting, which was similar to Reddit with like upvotes where people could do it. And Rust uses something similar. Like something like that would be really valuable in Tarkov, where like if the community could like all attach, if the feedback from the majority of the community could just be, I experienced this bug too a lot. And then that rises to the top where BSG can take a look and be like, this, so many people. At that point, probably they only need 3 or 4 power users to then really be like, this is how I replicate it every time. They can, like you said, they could get enough information from a few QA testers or a few power users, but to actually be able to equip the community at large to be like, are you experiencing this bug frequently? Yes. Because
that'll help them prioritize.
But that's exactly what I'm saying. It'll help prioritize and it'll help point them in the right direction with investigating. Because once again, we talked about this last week. We get the patch notes and like, you know, the invisibility bug was in the game for 2 months, but we get patch notes. It's like fixed an issue where sometimes when holding a SCAR-L northwest, a bear's middle finger would pop out. And I'm just like, how did that? And there might be a regular explanation for that, but just like equipping the player, like, you know what I mean? The hive mind to do what a hive mind is best at, which is just like populate and bubble ideas. You know what I mean? Like, I wish that we had some sort of tool, or they would reach out on social media, or they would put out polls on the subreddit of their own and be like, which of these bugs you experience and how much, and just get that much data from the hive mind. And then the power users, like guys like Airwing and you and me, and every time a new thing comes out, go and try and break stuff, submit that information. That feels like a good structure, but there's none of that. They don't reach out about asking things. They don't educate the community on how to report a bug, and the reporting bug system feels like a joke. I'm not saying it's easy to do. I'm not saying I know how to do it. I'm not saying I'm the smart guy. I'm just saying I'm the guy. Like, once again, this tangent came off of somebody in chat saying, well, we're QA. No, we're not. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're throwing that out there, I don't feel 6,000 hours in this game. I don't feel like I'm QA. I don't feel like if the bug reporting system is engineered for me, for the user to be able to report bugs, I as the user feel like it's a terrible system. I don't feel like when I report a bug, anything meaningful happens. Bugs that are less important than bugs I report get fixed. So it starts at the top, right? It has to go top and trickle down. If you want to leverage, if you do want to leverage the community as a pseudo QA, it starts up there. You have to create a better bug reporting system, and then you have to understand the people that you're working with and use some sort of like Upvote or Reddit and actually
but do they
leverage. They don't have to do anything, obviously, but
no. But do they want to?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
I think that's like the older I get, the more experience I get with Tarkov, the more cynical I get with like, and I've always been the one to reject the whole, well, they don't care, they're just in it for the money. Yeah. I won't say that they're just in it for the money and they don't care. Like, all they care about is the money, but I will say that to say they don't care, all I'll say is that that's a sentiment that has gone from having no meaning to now it has a non-zero meaning to me.
Yeah.
I'll just say that. I won't full-blown say none of them care about anything.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like, you need to show me you care.
Yeah.
By doing some of these fucking bare minimums.
That's exactly, yeah, that's what I'm saying too. Yeah. And it's like, I agree where I wouldn't say they don't care, but like, the longer I play, the more I feel like X, Y, and Z are low effort, quick to implement, and high yield when it comes to either community education or community goodwill. And I had that idea 2 years ago, and last year, and 6 months ago, and a month ago. And there comes a point where it's like, oh man, like, I'm not saying they don't care, but this really easy thing they could do could be a win-win-win-win-win. It could empower the player. It could leverage the community to fix more bugs quicker. It wouldn't take a lot of dev time. I'm not saying they need to watch all my videos and do what I'm saying. I'm just saying, yeah, exactly. It's like, show me that you care, that you want the bug reports, that you want the cheater reports, that you want I don't know.
Dude, it's wild because, like, there are so many things to me that seem like such obvious. Now, I know not everybody agrees with every one of my takes, and that's fine. I would like to think that the majority of the things that I say about the game, maybe not necessarily like balancing things or whatever, because I think a lot of those are subjective.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the way that, some features should be designed or the experience should be for some things, like selling on the flea market and other things, I feel like a lot of those things, most of the folks in the community agree with me on, and a lot of them are really easy, massive wins.
Yeah.
That the fact that, just dozens and dozens of these things are like, it's like free goodwill, where if you implemented these things, everybody would be like, oh my God, BSG, we love you. Like the recoil thing.
Yeah.
So many of those, like everybody wants to forget. They already forget how significant of a change that was, and how literally 500,000 fucking people saw my video at least and were like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing that happened in Tarkov in the longest time. I wish that they would just like believe me or understand. Like how do you square the circle? Is it pride, ego, money? Do they not understand? Do they not care? Are they not capable? Like, why are they not doing these easy things that the community will fucking love them for?
Yeah.
And yet every single time there's a big update with fixes and you guys should all be excited. Nothing there except for one thing, the fog, which they kind of half fucked up.
Yeah.
None of those things are any of the things that I've ever remotely come close to talking about for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And it's not just do what I want.
No, yeah.
But I'd like to think that like me and a lot of other people
for sure
are like a funnel. Like, all of this talk, I don't want anybody to get the impression that we're trying to say that streamers are special.
No, not at all.
But we come from a position where we hear tons of people. It's like we're like a funnel. It's almost like we're the community managers, but we just don't have any connection to the actual fucking development, right? We have a perspective of we're power users, but also we have ourselves checked all day long.
Exactly.
Constantly by people saying that's not an issue.
A lot of our opinions either come from the community where somebody says something and I go, oh, that's really interesting. And then we flesh that out for a few hours and we arrive at a more fleshed out version. And it seems like JesseKazam's idea, but it was like all of our ideas. Or
it's a survival of the fittest of ideas.
It is my idea, but it's been refined by the community. Like a lot of times I've done what you do. I have an interesting idea for something. I run it through a script. I make a video about it. I talk about it on chat. And ultimately 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people make input on it. And then that also refines my idea. So it's not that streamers, it's that like we're kind of like just the boiling point for each of our own communities. And also, by the way, that's why
the Electoral College.
Yeah. That also, by the way, some of the best ideas for changes to come to this game I've ever seen have come from Reddit. Now, those things often get upvoted really, really high, and then just immediately some sort of drama drowns them out, right? You know what I mean? But like on some level, that like the Reddit is also a really cool place for the community separate from any sort of streamers to like pose an idea and really good ones bubble up to the top and really bad ones get pushed away. And like you said, how do you square the circle? I don't know. Like, is it, exactly. Is it competence? Is it indifference? Is it that they don't understand? Is it that they don't have time? Is it that they don't have money? Because I want so hard to defend and, that they're an amazing company doing an amazing job. The only way I can square the circle right now is to say that like, they're just like, they are so divorced from the community, from what the community's experience is as a bug, as a player, the UX, like what bugs are happening in what frequency, and they're not, and it's their responsibility to build that bridge, to build a more effective way to communicate with the community. However you want that to be, whether it's like a Reddit style system like Rust and these people use, an issue council like Star Citizen uses, even none of those things, just polls, leveraging the emissaries better. Once again, I feel like they have all the ingredients to do effectively what we're talking about in 3 or 4 different ways. It doesn't have to be my idea where they make like a Reddit type Rust thing. They could leverage the emissaries that once a month, the emissaries reach out to all their communities and all their streamer friends and all their stuff, and then conglomerate a bunch of bugs and then submit that. Boom. They could use the subreddit better than they do. They could do polls on their own Twitter and stuff like that, and their YouTube. They could do polls to leverage that kind of stuff. You can do it a bunch of different ways, but the point is that they have the ingredients to connect that so that they have a much better pulse on what the community is talking about. Because I really do agree with you that there are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 really low-hanging fruit things that buy so much goodwill, that make the experience so much better for the player, that's so trivial as far as development time, that it's just like the only way I can square the circle is they just really don't know because they're so divorced from the community. It makes me sad and frustrated, but like I have to say that over they don't care or they're just in it for the money, because I'm not there yet emotionally to say that. You know what I mean? So, and I truly don't believe it right now.
How can they not? But the thing is, though, I got to say, how can they not know? I mean, I've been literally banging on the door saying, hey, there's this really important thing. Yeah. And you can't say, well, then, you know, and then people are on the other side of the door going, either we know or, you know, go away.
Yeah.
And then people want to say, oh, well, maybe they didn't, you know, maybe they didn't hear you. Maybe they didn't.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe they didn't know you were. It's like, I know they know, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man.
Before we move on, just because a few people mentioned some stuff in chat, because we went really, really hard on the QA and everything. I don't want to speak for Veritas. I am not talking about any one person in particular. I know we've both had some experiences. I've had plenty of amazing experiences with a lot of the community managers at them. I've had some not so amazing experiences with some of the current community managers, but I don't know what the current community managers, how much power they have, who they answer to. If I tell them that there's a thing, I don't know what their structure is. I'm not saying that I'm defending. I'm saying that everything I said, that we said about, like, that's why I tried to word what I said about all that stuff through the way I feel as a player that's put 6,000 hours in. I said that I don't feel like anything I do matters. I feel like the system is bad, because I have, and I'm not even trying to like save face because anyone's going to get mad at me. I'm just saying that, like, my whole thing is understanding of where I'm ignorant, and I don't know how their structure is. I don't know the people that I've interacted with, who they interact with, and who their boss is, or how much pool they have, or how many of them they are. Like I said, I've had some great experiences and some not great experiences with some of them, but what I'm trying, the way we tried to phrase it and the way I tried to phrase it was that either way, it feels like the devs are completely out of touch with what the community wants, and that is just how I feel personally. So I know there were a few people in there like, but this guy does a good job and this guy. I'm not saying anybody is doing a bad or good job, because I don't know what their job is or what that qualifies as. So I wouldn't be able to say if somebody was doing a bad or good job. I'm saying as a player who has 6,000 hours, I don't feel like this system works at all, and I'd love it to change. So I saw some people mentioning some things, and I just wanted to say that. I'm not saying that maybe you feel differently or whatever, but yeah, for me, I'm not sitting here and saying Johnny Pants 69 is doing a terrible job and should be fired. I'm saying the entire cohesive experience of me as a player communicating to community managers and things happening in the game and bugs getting fixed, that whole pipeline to me seems broken. And I don't know if that's one person's fault, 10 people's fault, if it's whatever. But as a player, I feel like it's broken. And I will stand behind everything I said, but I just didn't want it to come across as some people saying that we just think this person sucks or that person sucks. I personally think it's more complicated than that, and I just want to be clear about that because people are making some comments.
One of the things I wanted to talk about, because someone had asked during my one raid today, did they fix the what did he say, like obese ninja bug, which I'm assuming was like the when you're overweight and you crouch, you like walk, you don't make noise or whatever, which I don't think had anything to do with like weight at all. I think it was just like if you are crouch walking at the slowest speed, you don't make noise.
I have heard that too. So like I think there's a bug where if you're crouch walking at the slowest speed, you make noise to yourself. Like you hear your own noise, but other people don't. And then I've also been told, I didn't actually know. I actually still to this day don't know what the bug was. I don't know if that actually happens no matter what weight you are, or if it was just when you're underweight, or if the bug was just that you hear audio and they don't. So I don't know if they fixed it. Chat might.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people that have been like, oh, I really want them to fix it. And honestly, like, the more I think about it, the more knowing about that bug makes me play differently.
Yeah.
In a good way, because like back in the day, you used to be able to sneak, right? We've talked about how important sneaking was. Like the difference between a game like Tarkov that's supposed to be tactical.
Yeah.
The difference between being able to move even slowly without making any noise and a game where no matter what you do, you're going to make some amount of noise is complete night and day.
Yeah.
Two totally different games.
For sure.
And it's a huge reason why, coupled with the netcode, just shift Wing is the way to go. You're never going to sneak. So if you're going to make noise, you might as well make it so that because your noise is 2 seconds delayed and your fucking body is 2 seconds delayed and your bullets are going to be 2 seconds delayed.
Either make noise in sync with the server or make noise ahead of the server. It's like, which one is going to give you the best chance of survival? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so, and that was the reason why I was like, nope, like Tarkov is still, it's still just not the fucking game it needs to be because of so many simple things and so many complex things. And today I was playing so slow because I had the voodoo, and as soon as I ran in to the underground, to the parking garage, before it used to be you sprint from like the truck across the street into the parking garage, and there you're like stamina, and then you have to run because it's just pure blackness.
Yep.
This time I was able to just slowly walk and look and aim, and it was like, oh, it's a completely different game being able to see. And then going up the stairs into not Goshen, the one all the way on the east side.
Ollie?
Maybe it is Goshen.
Idea? Ollie Idea, and then Goshen's in the back.
Ollie. Yep. Ollie's the one all the way on the side. Yep. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on that.
Extract.
Yes. Yep. Being able to like walk up those stairs and to just like look towards all the shelves and like the bookcase things knocked over and just being able to see, it's like, oh my God. Then I could like slowly walk over. I was playing slow and careful and tactical because I was able to see things. So you're able to see and move, and it's not like you're just gonna die because if someone's just standing in the distance and they're scoped in and you're moving tactically and it's like fog, well, then you just die.
Yeah.
You need to just run from point A to point B and hide, and then run from point A to point B and hide, and then hope that the people that shoot at you that you don't see miss you is all you can do.
Yep.
And I was, like I said, I was moving slowly, and I see a guy walk up to like a door, and I was like, one tap, headshot, like, fuck yeah, like enemy down.
Yeah.
And I thought I heard another person over in the same direction. I'm like, okay, he's got a teammate. And I was over by not Ultra Med, but like the opposite corner of Ultra Med, where there's like food court things. Like if you come from the food court area, you know that in between section. I shot the guy. He was like over by like the arcade.
Gotcha. Yep.
And I went all the way around towards the escalators, towards Ultra Med to flank around.
Yep.
Because I'm like, his guy's going to be looking over towards like the center. I'm going to go around the side, and I moved slowly and tactically, and it was like the guy, like you just can't, right? Like you can't. The only thing you can do is shift W.
Yep.
Or throw a grenade.
Yep.
And it's like, I just want to be able to walk and not make noise. Like when you walk up the escalators, you walk. It's like clank, clank, clank. It's like, I don't know about you, but like rubber on metal.
Yep.
Has
it's like
no
we have
noise.
metal shoes. Yeah.
It's like we've got steel-toed fucking tap shoes,
but not
right?
toed,
Like,
steel-soled shoes, where we're literally just stapled a sheet of steel to the sole of our shoe. 100%.
Like, I want to be able to. The game would be infinitely better if you could walk at like 30% of the normal speed.
Yep.
Not make any noise. Raise your gun without making any noise. Suddenly now.
Yep.
You're so much closer to the way the game used to be, which was playing slow and tactical and outsmarting your players was possible. Now it's not.
Yep.
It's absolutely 100%. You can't play slow and tactical.
And like we've said, people immediately would say that there would be more rats because of that. And I think it would be fundamentally the opposite. I think more people would move around because they could move silently. You would catch people moving really slow out in the open and you'd kill them. Like, you know what I mean?
The dudes
like,
in the raid series weren't rats.
It doesn't.
They were moving tactically and quietly.
It doesn't get more ratty than what it is right now, which is hold an angle in perpetuity until someone peeks it. Because if I move an inch, I broadcast my location for 3 square miles. If I could actually move around, people would actually move around, and people would move around the map, and it would feel less. Yeah, it's just like it like.
And the guy that killed me, his buddy, was crouched in exactly the inch that I thought I heard the sound earlier, and I took 7 minutes to flank around. He didn't move, and then you know what happened? I was coming up to the corner, and I'm like, I still think the guy's here, but I don't have nades because it's too fucking expensive to buy a shit ton of nades and just die before I throw them or die when I throw them. So I'm just not gonna do it. And then I'm like, I came to the corner and I said, my best chance of winning this fight is to shift W and point fire. And I shift W'd and one tap with the SKS right to my face, even though I was wearing class 5 helmet, class 5 armor. I had the fucking 60 round full of 995 with like the 200,000 ruble modified M4. All the meds, my Salewa, my Propital, none of it fucking mattered. I shot one bullet, got a headshot on a dude. I played tactically, and it's like...
Then he shot one bullet and got a headshot on you, and it was just like...
Yeah, and people say that's Tarkov, and it's actually not. It's actually not Tarkov.
Yeah. It's not because what Tarkov was. It's not how they depict Tarkov in the Raid series. It's not how they depict Tarkov in the trailers. It's not how they describe Tarkov on the website. Yeah, it's not. It's just... It's the Tarkov you play... But that doesn't mean that it's what they want, you know?
Yeah, and anybody that says it is, like they are in chat, and I guarantee people are in the YouTube comments, they're going to say that I played it wrong or that I just got outplayed, or like, you're fine to think that.
Yeah.
It saddens me that you just don't understand. Like, if you just want to disagree with me and call it a skill issue, like, you are all, like,
you're
by all
welcome
means, go
to
for it.
Yeah.
You're welcome, but you are simply misunderstanding like something so fundamentally important to the game. That
and what Veritas isn't talking about is we should remove the ability to get one tapped, which is the reason I'm saying this, because I know that's what a bunch of people heard. A bunch of people listening, they were like, oh, Veritas got one tapped and he doesn't want people to get one tapped. No, that's not at all. And I'm not even going to re-go over and re-explain what you said. If you got to the end of that story and you thought that's what Veritas said, click off this video or skip back 5 minutes and rewatch it, because that's
or pause the video and reflect a little
critically
bit
for a few minutes.
Yeah, reflect a little bit on the things that I said and what I might mean about like how the game is if you're able to move quickly and confidently and tactically, but slowly but like reasonably. I don't want to sprint full speed at 100 kilograms and not make any noise. I don't want to be, but like, think about how your inability to be covert, how that incentivizes silly, exploitative, unrealistic, unfun, not tactical, honestly absurd in the context of
everything.
You want to survive and you should care about your life and all of these things, right? Like the game.
I completely agree. Okay, so we can talk about some of the other stuff that came in the patch. Apparently, they adjusted the skyboxes on all the maps.
I don't know what that even means.
I don't either. Here's what I know, and then chat can I guess tell us if they. Every map I played that day, I was like, it looks different outside. Do you agree, chat? And chat would be like, yes, it looks different outside. And then I saw some people on Twitter tweeting, these new skyboxes look great. That is the extent of my knowledge. Once again, I'm very aware of my ignorance. All I know is that it looked different everywhere. Just a little bit. Just the colors or the shade or the sky just in general. And I would have some people come in and be like, yo, look at the sky. And I'd be like, it doesn't look, I don't look at the sky and go, oh, that's it. I don't know. But then I saw some people tweet like, man, these new skyboxes are sick. And so
I'm loading into a raid. I have to see.
It just looks different. And I
did the one
really
Interchange raid.
It. Yeah,
and the sky was just
which
white.
Interchange would be complete. Yeah. But like, go to like a Shoreline raid or a Woods raid or something.
I went to customs.
And
ooh, I mean, okay, so it's been a long time since I've paid attention to the sky. All I can say, I don't know if it's like nice volumetric clouds. Oh, the cloud. I mean, this is one of those things like it could be
placebo. It could be.
I mean, I've always thought that like the sky looked nice in Tarkov.
For sure.
But like the shading and the clouds and like the color, it's like on customs right now, it's like a nice deep blue. Yeah, I don't know. It does look different.
Yeah. So that's something
that at least I remember.
So that's something that people have been mentioning, and it was like, cool. Like nobody's really been hating on it, but some people have noticed.
That's also one of those things like that had to have been like a non-trivial thing.
Yeah.
So why
they didn't even list it in the patch notes, bro?
But like, why though? Like, I'm not even like mad they did it, but it's like,
I don't know.
I just can't not get fucking frustrated when I see shit like this. Not that it's not good, because like, cool, man. But like when I, report a bug and people want to ask me, or they want to say it's a known issue, and it's like, okay, well then why is it not fixed fucking months later? How long has it been known for?
Yeah.
When like, oh my God, there's the whole like, oh, well, the people that don't do the netcode are not the ones that do the skyboxes. No, but the people that do the skyboxes are probably the ones that do the fog on Interchange.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, what the fuck have they been doing? Put twice as many people on fixing the fog and the lighting on Interchange and then fix the skyboxes a month from now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, what the fuck are the priorities, dude?
Yeah.
And then now, for all I know, maybe it was one guy, one day.
Yeah.
If that's the case, fine. Again, I'm ignorant of all these things. I'm just saying, like, I can't not be fucking frustrated with all of these things, because they just seem so, I just don't understand what the fuck is going on. Whoa, it just turned into like a thunderstorm.
Are you in an offline raid?
I'm in an offline raid. It just went full on.
Every offline raid ends in a thunderstorm. Everyone, no matter what raid you're in, if you're in an offline raid, unless you're in an offline co-op raid and can set the weather, no matter what the weather is, 10 minutes later it'll be raining. Every time. Ask me how I know. I've done hundreds and hundreds of offline raids trying to get screenshots for thumbnails or footage for something. Yeah, you said it was like a beautiful day when you spawned in, right?
Yeah.
Dude.
I looked away and then I had my rant. Maybe it's like a mood ring. You mauled at the game and the game's like, oh yeah, okay, you want to be mad at me? Well, fucking, I'm gonna smite you,
dude. It's
almighty sniper.
10 out of 10 times. I don't know why they didn't give us the ability to change the weather on solo offline servers. It would seem like that would be infinitely easier, not harder. I don't know. They updated DLSS and AMD FSR, and apparently this was a pretty solid change. On DLSS, the scope smudge, like it'd be like, oh, it looks pretty good. And you would zoom in with a voodoo and it would be all like smudgy and weird. They fixed that, and a bunch of people have been like, they finally fixed the scope smudge. So like DLSS and FSR look better, which is sick. Configure the sound and positioning settings for reserve and shoreline. I have not played a reserve raid because I avoid that at all costs. I did a shoreline raid, and I'm not going to lie, it was terrible. We went in to the resort, man, and like, it's not a pancake anymore. When someone's below or above you, it sounds different, right? So step in the right direction. You know, when someone's on the roof, it doesn't sound like they're with you, or on the outside, you know what I mean? Like that's better. But it was...
But it also didn't a week ago.
Oh, no, it did.
Watch my contact comparison video. Half of the comments are vertical audio on Shoreline. Wow.
That's weird. That's weird. Well, that makes me wonder even more what the hell this patch was, because me and Airwing did a little bit of testing, and bro,
now let me clarify. You can't tell right now with HRTF or with binaural audio. As far as I can tell, there's no difference between above and below. In terms of localization, but in terms of the
occlusion
sound,
zone, like
the occlusion,
actual...
like you can tell they're not on the same floor as you.
That's crazy. I haven't played Shoreline in a while because it was so bad, but I've got tons of clips of somebody walking around on the roof, and I thought that they were on the first floor with me. So maybe they've been doing some sleeper changes, but it makes me wonder, even...
It might be in different places.
Yeah, that's very true. Too. I could have experienced a bug. There was like a place where, but like, man, I only did like 5 minutes of testing with Airwing, and we had a bunch of bugs where like I'd be like, okay, I'm on second, right? Run up, run underneath me on first, and then run up the staircase. And he was running underneath me, and I was like, oh yeah, chat, like that sounds good. He's below me. He runs up the stairs and he runs onto my floor and never changes occlusion zones. He's running in circles in front of me, and it still sounds like he's below me. He's muffled.
Bro, that's how reserve has been since the wipe.
It hangs on
so
to an occlusion.
So they've regressed?
That's what I'm saying. So it hangs on to an occlusion zone sometimes, but like we did that test 3 times. Sometimes he would come up upstairs and it would change exactly where it was supposed to. Sometimes it would hang for a little bit and then it would change. And then a few times it would just hang and he would just be in that occlusion zone forever. And he could run around on the second floor and I'm watching him run around. I'm 5 feet away from him, but it sounds like he's below me. So like we did that for 5 minutes. We did a few things, like all of those buildings where like there's like elbows and stuff like that and hallways. It really shows how like binary off or on their occlusion zones are. I don't know if you saw my TikTok. I didn't post it to Twitter. I should have. But Velian had disconnected. His chat alt forward him with a bitbot. But he was running full sprinting in place. I was on straights. And so I placed an ATM machine between us. I was standing. I wasn't crouched. And I was looking at Velian. And he was fully muffled like he was outside. And I would lean. It was just like their occlusion zones are so binary off on. And it's kind of funny when it's an ATM, but when you're in the hallway of the resort, if somebody's in the elbow, if somebody's W keying you, they can run up the stairs and around the corner before the game has acknowledged that they're in a new occlusion zone and they're all up in your face. We literally did that where like there's no fade in and out. You know what I mean? It doesn't get loud. It just boom, pops in. It's just like you're full blown occluded or not. There is no in between.
It sounds like like there's no way. I pulled up your TikTok. I want to see if I can find.
It was relatively recent, the one with Valian. We were on streets.
Step 1, Scooby-Doo. All right.
No, okay, not that one. It's got 73,000 views. So look for that number of views.
73,000 or 7,300?
73,000. 73.
Oh, audio is totally fine. So what that is to me is that they're I think that's two things combined, and it's the occlusion. The logic is probably if you are in two different occlusion zones, cast a ray between you and the person, and if there's anything in between, assume it's a wall.
Yeah.
And not a window.
Yeah.
That would explain how you can, because I'm watching it. He's on my laptop, so I'm not gonna show you guys. Go to Jesse's TikTok at JesseKazam and fucking watch all of his TikToks because they're great. But yeah, so you're on the outside. Sorry, you're on the inside of one of the like grocery stores or whatever.
Yeah.
Where it's all windows, but all the windows are broken.
Yeah.
And Valiant is outside running in place.
Yeah.
So the audio, it should be like
totally fine. Just
totally
normal,
fine,
basically.
totally
which it
clear,
is,
normal.
Unless
And then if he leans in and out from between a like, chest high ATM machine, it's occluded and not occluded, occluded and not occluded. So yeah, I mean that to me is, they probably have really, but see, like, here's the fucking thing, dude. That's the way that like BSG would do audio.
Yeah.
And not the way that like people who wrote the Oculus audio would do it.
Yeah.
Like that is the most primitive, basic.
Yeah.
That's the shit that a high schooler, when they wanted to implement like cool 3D audio, would do on their like midterm project.
Yeah. But people think it's Oculus audio. An Oculus audio dev would watch that clip and cringe. You know what I mean?
Maybe it is. Maybe they implemented Oculus audio wrong. Maybe they have half Oculus with their own bullshit that they wrote on top of it, or maybe half Oculus, half of their own bullshit that they wrote 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I don't know either.
But it's like,
but
God, it's so fucking bad.
But like in the resort specifically, all of the little bugs in the audio can present themselves in a sequence together, making it impossible for you to know that an enemy's coming. So you get the weird stuff with staircases. So like a great example is by like West Wing 301. That's the LEDX room. A bunch of people, go do that. And you know how like there's the hole in the ground between the two staircases. So like if you come up, man, this is so niche to Tarkov.
Which wing is this?
West Wing.
I think you're literally talking about the one that I have pulled up on my laptop.
West Wing, 3rd floor. If you come up the spiral stairs that are on the admin side, so the north side of the map, and like you were going to go to 301. Yes. So that
this clip is a guy running and he's running towards me from the 3rd floor over the crack, above me and back, and it sounds like okay.
Yeah. So that, but like you're looking down the hall at 301, like, and that's right. And you the hole that's right there in front of you. Mm-hmm. Imagine if I'm standing just on the other side of that hole, looking back at you, right? Okay, so just like that's where my character was, because you did that contact signs. You did that video before they did this patch, right?
When was the patch again?
Like Tuesday.
So 2 days ago?
Yeah, 2 days ago.
Yeah, this video was I put out 3 days ago.
Yeah,
and I made it.
And you made it a while ago.
A few days.
So so 2 days ago on Tuesday. So I'm standing at that in West, at the other side of that hole in the floor, and Airwing runs underneath, and as he passes by that hole in the floor, the audio does exactly what it should. He's muffled, and then I hear him because I can see him. There's nothing in between, and then he gets muffled again, and you're like, cool. And then all of a sudden, he's in my face. And he had run up the spiral staircase and just run in a beeline to me. But because the staircase audio is weird, and because sometimes it hangs on the occlusion zone even once you're up the stairs, and because the wall, the L of the wall, even if you're standing in certain spots where you're looking down, you can see the enemy, but because whatever ray is cast hits that wall between you, you're muffled. So he can run all the way up the stairs, past the elbow, zigzag, and into my face before I hear a footstep. Or if I do hear a footstep, it's muffled. Because it's like there's like netcode delay of like positioning, but then there's also like a delay in when you transition occlusion zones. And so Resort PvP right now just went even more Shift W, because you can actually convince people you're on different occlusion zones. And then because of whatever happens with the ATM, where sometimes it just says, well, just draw a line if there's anything in the way, there are actually instances where you can see somebody, but their audio is as if they're above or below you. And so it's like, because of how tight and close quarters that combat is, where in 3 seconds you can completely transition floors, you can go in and out of like elbows and in and out of rooms, and it cannot process all of that fast enough, and it's scuffed.
Dude,
if you're just doing a blind test, being like, run above me, you're like, that sounds pretty good. But in a combat situation where it's like boom, boom, jump on a balcony, boom, bam, bow, it's too many things. And it's scuffed.
Did you ever see either my videos or anybody ever explain the BLJ in Super Mario 64 and how people get past the infinite staircase?
It sounds so familiar, but I forget if you have explained it.
Because honestly, this seems like it screams the same flavor of bug. So in Super Mario 64, and if you go to Satire V and watch my fucking videos, I have all this stuff on there, and I even show the source code, the C code underlying the game, and I show the code where the actual bug exists, where there's a maximum speed for Mario, and when he exceeds the speed, he's set to like the maximum.
Okay.
So like if you long jump, you like accelerate, but then like that's as fast as you're gonna go. There's no way to make yourself go faster. But there's no minimum. And when you're moving backwards, it's a negative speed. So have you ever seen the backwards long jump? Like the backwards jumping up the stairs?
Yep.
So the reason why
boing, boing.
the reason why they do that is because the way that the staircase works, it's actually genius. And I got a hacked version of the ROM of the game, so I could free cam out to the side and actually see Mario running up the stairs. You see he runs up the stairs halfway, and then whoop, he's at the bottom. But when you are behind Mario running, you see like the Bowser pictures just continuously coming, because the teleportation is seamless, so you don't know that it's just sending it, so it seems like an infinite staircase, but you just can't see the top of the staircase, and you get halfway and it teleports you back, but it's seamless, so you can't tell.
That's crazy. Now
here's the thing, you know how like games work with like a tick rate, like there's an update rate of the game loop. On every, and I'm gonna get like some of these details wrong, but effectively on every frame, or every like second frame or something, is when the game says, hey, is Mario out of bounds? If he is, snap him to the nearest wall or the nearest floor or whatever, because sometimes you might be moving really fast, and at some point it has to do the collision detection.
Yeah.
Now, given the size of Mario and where those boundaries are, if he's going so fast that on check 1, he's on one side of the wall, and on check 2, he's completely on the other, he never hits the barrier, so he never gets teleported. That's why you can bounce up, because you're going too fast for the game to the collision detection to work. So I'm wondering if Tarkov is so like desynced either locally or, well, actually no, this would be, because you're not experiencing this first person. It's only third person you're experiencing it. So if your game is updating the player positions and it's like desynced and fucked up, if they're moving too quickly or whatever, it might skip over the transition between the layers, which or maybe even like the layers are not like touching. I don't know if there's boundaries or if it's two cubes, or if there's a plane in between. I'm not sure how it's implemented, but it could just be that the trigger is missed for whatever reason. Maybe it's desync, maybe it's the speed they're moving.
Which reminds me of what you said earlier about like, how is something tested? If they're two standard accounts and they're walking around,
You'd never catch it.
You'd never catch it. Like, do they test with 51 strength, 51 endurance on SJ6? Because that's how most of these fights go down.
On a laggy server.
Yeah, so like if they're standard accounts, level 1 strength and endurance locally walking around, and it's like, walk up here, oh yeah, that sounds good, like a transition, that's a completely different experience than a full sprint max strength endurance character. That's a really interesting thought process there, where like if they're not testing it at as fast as a player can go, because of course it would happen at slower speeds, they need to make sure it works at as fast as a player can go. That's interesting. Man. Natty, they're doing it all natty, bro. No SJ6. Damn, that's actually a really interesting thing. So yeah, it's got to be something like that, because we played a Shoreline. We played that Shoreline offline, and then we played a Shoreline raid, and it did not make me want to play Shoreline more. And I love Shoreline, and I miss Shoreline. It got to the point when we did the one online raid and we were PvPing, it was like, chat was like, how did you hear that guy? And it was like, I didn't. I've just played 5,000 Shoreline raids. I just know where he's going to go. You know what I mean? Like, he ran up the stairs. I didn't want to chase him. He was going to drop through the hole behind me. So I turned around and he dropped through the hole. You know what I mean? It was like, I didn't hear him. And if you didn't play 5,000 Shoreline raids, you would have been given no clues as to where he was. I just play a lot of Shoreline, you know? So it's like, and that feels so bad because if I win the fight, it's just like, I don't know, like, and so there are definitely places where it's better. You know what I mean? Like, there are definitely places where, once again, isolating, I'm here, you just do this. It's better than what it was the last time I played Shoreline, for sure. But once again, I went in as a player fighting other players in there when it's going to matter, when you want that freaking audio, and we did
practical
that testing. Exactly. And that's where it was weird. It wasn't just like, oh, you're looting 310 and I'm looting 206 and it sounds better. That's good. That's 100% progress. But it's gonna that good feeling of he's walking on the roof and I'm on first floor and I can't hear him, like, sweet, that's better. That good feeling goes away when the dude pushes you and breaks glass you didn't hear and jumps over something you didn't hear and pushes up a staircase you didn't hear and kills you. You're going to be like, I thought the audio was better. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be a Giga Chad to be frustrated about the audio, but when you die to the Giga Chad that's running around not even knowing he's abusing the fact that the audio doesn't update fast enough, it's just going to feel bad, and I just don't want you to feel bad. Papa loves you. You know what I mean? So, I don't know.
Yeah, are we their two dads?
Yes. We are concerned about this so that you don't have to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
So yeah. A few other things. It was a debate. The UI element they are talking about on the Flea was just that they got rid of. Have you saw that yet? Go list something on the Flea right now. Anything. Don't list it, but just like go to list it on the Flea right now. You see how, like, it's just...
Oh, yeah.
You used to have to click, and then another dialog box would come up, and then you would type the price. Now you just go type the price, and it's just like euros, dollars, rubles, which is cool, but it's not like... We were wondering if it was going to be like a new UI for a quick sell, but it's not. They just got rid of the barter, which is that. This UI is better. It's one less click, which is good. The muscle memory is insane, so I keep clicking where I'm not supposed to click.
Oh my God, dude, like, you still have to right click. See, like, here's how I would sell the item. Right click.
Sell item.
Click on filter by item, and then click add offer. And then scroll down to the item that you want.
Yeah.
Click on it.
Yeah.
Like, just put a fucking sell.
Yeah. It'd be nice if it was like, yeah, if it was right click and it was just like sell to trader or sell on Flea. And if you clicked sell on Flea, it would pull up the list so you could see the prices and open the box and put your cursor where all you have to do is type. So right click sell on Flea, and then then all you have to do is look at what the prices are and type.
Yeah, see, and that's actually something.
Sick.
that's actually something that like that right there, the thing you mentioned about the dialogue box being active, having the focus, that's like something that when I worked in the mobile space was like so subtle, but you get so much mileage out of it. It's like, if you're going to have like, you have to fill out a form and you're going between multiple screens or whatever, like let's say you're going through a buy process, to have to like context switch from to doing what you're doing, typing on the keyboard, hitting like the button, to then have to like tap on the field to then start typing again. Like people are like, oh, you have to move your finger like 4 inches. Is that a big deal? It's like, no, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a big deal. But imagine how efficient and how quick you can do things when it's like type, enter, hit a button. How the button should be where your thumb is. It shouldn't be in the upper right-hand corner. You know, like the next should be like,
if your only thing against it is I've gotten used to an objectively slower way, that's not a good, you know what I mean? Like if you want to have an argument that something shouldn't be done, but if it's just like I've gotten used to an objectively slower way of doing things, that's not cool. You're not like cooler, you know what I mean? Like wanting things,
dude, no, you're not adapting.
Yeah. Wanting things to be optimized is not a bad thing. You know what I mean? Veritas isn't saying that we need to halt the development of Arena and get this UX feature in the game. It's wanting things to be optimized is not at all bad thing. Well, if you want 3 clicks, go play CS, bro.
Dude, I actually would say that they shouldn't fucking they shouldn't even write a line of code on Arena until there's my quick sell feature in the game. Boom. Or my quick sell feature or better.
Yeah.
Now I won't say like, you know, change it so that the fucking field has focus right away.
Yeah.
Like, but like you should just do that. Oh, God, and that just makes me think about how every change they make always breaks something. And is always like 60% of what it should be.
Yeah.
And it's like all you needed to do was like either think about it for 30 seconds, or if you're not capable of using your brain and you're a good developer but not a good like UX designer.
Yeah.
Then fucking ask somebody who is.
Yeah.
Because anybody will tell you, oh, well, just move this here, do this, and you've made it. You've now saved collectively enough man hours that like we probably would cure cancer a decade earlier with the number of man hours that have been lost to shit UX in Tarkov.
Hell yeah, dude. Yep. They adjusted some sound positioning settings on streets. I haven't really noticed that. They added an in-game mail notification system for players that were banned based on a report. I haven't got one of those yet, but that's nice. There was the big barrier to entry for the Lightkeeper tasks was the third task in the quest chain. It's called assessment, and you had to kill 25 PMCs, basically standing at the foot of the bridge that they can't cross unless they too had completed this quest.
Mm-hmm.
They made that kill area everything south of the water treatment plant. So the chalets, the Marin car,
massive.
So basically, it's just like play Lighthouse and avoid that area. You know what I mean? Because like if you're standing on the lighthouse, that's all visible area. You know what I mean? Like with binoculars, like it kind of makes sense in the lore of the quest still, because the quest was like figure out why people are snooping around the lighthouse. So and kill them apparently. So that's much better for that quest. So that was added in this patch too, which is nice. Also, weirdly, the amount of XP you got by picking up an item or like searching an item was reduced by 50%, anywhere between 50 and 80%. I don't know if that was directly to combat people cheesing like survive quests, like the guide and stuff like that. Like when,
let's make the guide
harder. Yeah, I don't know if it's just the guide or like a weekly to survive Shoreline 7 times. If you spawn by Path to Lighthouse, every Shoreline spawn has Path to Lighthouse as a spawn. So it's like if you're trying to survive there, you could just like swap guns with your buddy, get out, get the survive, come back in. If you know what I mean. It's like, so I don't know if it was like for that cheese, once again, that's something that wasn't
Wait,
listed.
what was the exact change again? I thought I heard that wrong.
Search XP was reduced by between 50 and 80%.
Oh, God.
Or looting XP.
Why?
Sorry, looting XP. So actually when you like pick up an item. I don't know. Bad. IMO. But it is what it is. It's not worth mauling about, but kind of an L. And just weird. And not included in the patch notes. And just weird. So that's the patch. Oh, the last thing, and then we go into the bugs. The last thing is they increased the size and speed at which smoke grenades plume. Okay? Mm-hmm. So obviously we did some testing. The green smoke grenade is awesome. I will do my very best to not go down my mauled trail of why they should go back to the old way of throwing grenades. But the green smoke grenades are insanely good now. Like when you throw them, it immediately starts to plume. I would still like it to be faster, but it's much faster than it was before. And they get huge, bro. They get huge. Like a whole street on streets can be blocked off by one smoke grenade, the green ones, so you can buy from Peacekeeper. Go to an offline customs, just toss one of them bad boys, dude.
The M18.
Yeah, it's
$33 each shit, man.
I still wish that they plumed a little faster, but they're very good. Now, this is some true spaghetti code right here, okay? I don't know if this has been in the game for 2 years or not, but because we were testing the grenades, both smoke grenades, the black one and the green one, Airwing Marine and his buddies found this bug. I'm gonna send you a clip. I'll explain it for the Twitch chat. Where if you throw a black smoke grenade, the RG whatever ones, behind you, and there's a green smoke grenade in front of you, the two smokes cancel each other out, and anything in between those two smokes will be X-ray vision completely green. It's like wearing NVGs in the day. It's like wearing NVGs and T7s at the same time in the day. Now, that could have been in the game for 2 years. Because when was the last time in a raid you saw a black smoke grenade and a green smoke grenade going off at the same time? Never. So this could be one of those spaghetti code things that because they made a good change, we found a bug, that bug can get fixed, which is good. Or I don't know if the bug is a result of this patch, but it is super scuffed. It is super scuffed where you could basically just like X-ray vision see people. And then you can even get to a point where if you're scoping in with a voodoo on the 1X, it's like the X-ray vision. But if you zoom into your 6X, you're looking through the smoke and you're looking normal. There's no smoke at all. Dude, it's...
Do you know, do we know if it's still client side?
The smoke?
Yeah.
I don't think so. And all the testing...
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
The textures get buggy. The textures get a little schwackadoodle-doo.
Smoke_1.png or smoke_2? Yes. Bro, what? It's like this is CS1 smokes. This is CS2 smokes.
Yeah. But it plumed pretty fast, right? And it's huge.
I mean, yeah, it should be like it should plume in like fucking 2 seconds. Dude.
I agree.
It should.
I agree. But that's way better than it was yesterday or 3 days ago. But I definitely agree.
I'm still never gonna use it.
Mostly
because I have no control, like no real confidence of where it's going to fucking land.
Dude, yeah, look at how wide that is. Like, look at how much you've smoked off with one smoke. They keep freaking edging us with the smokes, bro. Like they could be so good. Escape from Tarkov is a video game where the smokes could be so damn good if it weren't for the developers not wanting the smokes to be so damn good. Oh, it's pain. I was gonna say it's not because I don't know where it's gonna land. It's because I don't like. You have to watch a 14-minute YouTube video on how to rebind all your keys, your keybinds, so that you can throw smoke grenades when you want to throw smoke grenades and frag grenades when you want to throw frag grenades. That's why I'm not gonna do it. Like, so yeah, smokes. That bug is a little weird. Oh yeah, you're showing that. Yeah. Yeah, scuffed. I'll put a clip down to in the description for the audio listeners or the YouTube listeners, but
dude, I don't like this. This is the shit that would happen to me if I was trying to like make a game, because here's the thing, like this is the kind of thing that happens when you kind of half know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
like
I mean, legit, Airwing figured that out in a few hours because he was testing the new smokes, right? So that's once again, that's never going to happen in a real raid. You know what I mean? But it's kind of scuffed. Now, the last thing patch related is, I'm sure you've been asked a million times about the flashlight bug. Has anybody explained to you what the flashlight bug is?
How your flashlight's always on.
Yeah.
For everybody else.
Yeah. So is that after you turn it on the first time or just always? Sometimes. I mean, we've actually been doing some pretty rigorous.
Always.
Yeah, some rigorous testing. We had a weird.
Like, wouldn't people see that? Like, this is one of those things that like wouldn't anybody who plays duos, wouldn't this be painfully obvious? Like,
it is to everybody that plays duos. The thing is, it's just like it doesn't. The thing is, like, in my raids in the past 24 hours or 48 hours that this patch has been out, I've seen it where I didn't see a single flashlight through any walls anywhere. I've seen it where as soon as we spawned in, I could see Valiant's flashlight even when it was off. And in the past 24 hours, I've had it where, like, today they did a technical patch. So we were like, did they fix it? And we were like, oh yeah, I can't see your flashlight on. That's good. And he turned it on and then turned it back off. And when he turned it off, it was still on. And then it was like that for the rest of the raid. So I can't confidently say this is how you recreate it. But what I can say is every single flashlight we've tested has the bug where even if your flashlight is turned off, it is basically a dimmer version of your flashlight. So it's not as bright as if the flashlight was on, but it is bright enough. Yep. It's not
as even more complicated.
Yep. And dude, you're not even ready, bro. It doesn't matter if your flashlight's on or off. If it's on, it's full brightness. If it's off, it's 60% brightness. Okay. And when you move around, it swings around. And you know how sometimes in some places, flashlights shine through walls or floors? This bug shines through all walls and all floors everywhere. So countless times, me and Velian were playing, and we're just like, there's two guys in that building. And they come out, boop, 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 because we just see their flashlights through the floors on streets or whatever. Okay? Additionally, there's a bug. Veritas, the
guy I died to today? That's another thing.
They could have just known. They could have just known where you were.
I had my flashlight on and off.
He could have just known where you were.
Earlier in the raid. Oh my God.
Okay? Additionally, bro, there is a bug. This one has been harder to recreate. And honestly, I don't care to spend any more time testing this kind of stuff because I'm just so frustrated. If a character, this is what I believe to be true. If when that bug is happening, you're underneath someone, like they're on a floor above you, okay? If that person jumps, that flashlight bug, 360 spin bots. Me and Airwing legitimately thought we were in raid with cheaters because we were in the basement of Interchange and we could hear them above us because the audio sucks. We could hear them jumping and voiping and taunting in bear. And their flashlights would just go brrr, brrr, and we were like, these guys are spin botting. And then we ran into them and they were super legit players. And then at some other point, Velian was like, Jesse, what are you doing? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, you're doing the whole spin bot thing. When I would like jump, if I was in check and he was below me.
That's my spin bot.
Yeah, that's my spin bot. So like, it's so scuffed and there's so many layers and it's not all infinitely reproducible and it's frustrating to try and test. And I just don't know, bro. It's scuffed. Oh, and the other thing I forgot to mention was that all of this is distance-based. It's between, Airwing tweeted out, it's like between 20 and 60 meters. I'll have Velian be looking at me, and if I walk close enough to him, boom, both of our flashlights turn off at the exact same time. I back up a little bit, boom, they both turn on at the exact same time. If you keep backing up, eventually, boom, they'll both turn off at the exact same time. So it's like between 20 and 60 meters, sometimes with most flashlights, even if they're off, they're going to be on. And when you jump at 360 spin bots, at one point, Airwing took the flashlight off his gun and put it in his bag, and it was still on for me. But then we tried to recreate that test with Velian the next day, and he took the flashlight off and put it in his bag, and it turned off. And then today we were playing trios with me, Vel, and Mr. Meme, and we couldn't get the bug to happen on Mr. Meme's side. He was looking at both of our streams being like, yeah, I see the bug. Both of your flashlights are on, but look at my stream. And I'd look at his stream and nobody's flashlight. Dude.
Okay.
It's just like...
Dude, is this kind of what you're talking about? So click on the link that I just put in chat. And this is in my latest Switch Tarkov headphones are the best in 2023. So play that and you can hit the period and the comma keys in YouTube.
Okay.
Pro tip for everybody. Obviously F is the shortcut for full screen. Use K as the shortcut to start and stop videos, not spacebar. Because sometimes spacebar, like sometimes if you hit the full screen button with your mouse, that UI element has like the focus, and then when you hit spacebar, it actually like unfull screens. K will always start and stop. Okay.
What do period and comma do?
Frame by frame.
Oh no!
So pull up the video at like 12:57 and frame by frame, and you'll see all of a sudden the flashlight, like right when he runs over the gap in the floor.
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
At 12 minutes and 57 seconds in my my contacts video that I put out a few days ago.
Yeah,
I noticed that, and I thought that was weird. But then also watch, if you keep going at like 12:59, you'll see his laser. The laser comes out of nowhere, freaks the fuck out, and then the light like flickers. Is that the same thing?
No, this is different. I've seen that. It's exactly. I see what this is. I've seen that before. Yeah, we're like at 12:58. There's like a certain frame where there's like a very tiny streak of light off to your left, that pops up, and then his flashlight pops on again and then goes away. And then at 12:59, the laser pops in. That's all different. That's all stuff that's been in the game for forever because lighting is weird. This is new. This is like full blown, just like 60% opacity of however bright the flashlight is, just shining in your face at all times. And it's not just client side. Every single person can see it. Oh yeah, my mod just put the spin botting weirdness in your chat. He just posted a clip of that.
Oh,
those were legit players. We ran into them later. And then on Veliant's client the next day, I was doing that when I was above him. Like, think about how we were panicking, bro. We were like, what the hell is happening? So like, I don't know. The flashlight thing is crazy, bro, because it's like 8 different bugs all at the same time that are sometimes reproducible and sometimes not. And then we had Mr. Meme couldn't find anything at all. I don't know, man. It's beyond my scope of understanding of knowing how to what's the word? Diagnose. I just beyond my scope, dude. Just like BSG, take this clip and fix, please. And then that's why I mentioned earlier where.
And you know what they'd say? They'd say file a bug report. And I promise you that
the logs,
the logs in game, dude. Like, have you ever read through the logs before? Ever? While you talk about whatever it was you're going to say that I interrupted you, I'm going to pull up the logs and I'm going to read you the kinds of things that are logged.
Yeah.
And you're going to see that, like, at no point is they're going to say flashlight flickering in the thing. Like, it just doesn't include that fucking information.
Yeah. But it's weird. It's not really. Oh, what I was going to say was, and the reason I mentioned this earlier, because like something is happening where all three bugs we've talked about today have been distance oriented. Remember when I was telling you the visuals on Interchange where it looked like somebody had thrown one of the black smoke grenades? And as I crept up, it just got super bright. The closer I was, the brighter it got. The lights, the clip that you saw that I reported of the lights underneath Interchange, you get close enough to them, they turn off even though they're on. Mm-hmm. You back up, they turn on. The flashlight bug, if you get close enough to somebody, it pops off. If you back far enough away, it pops back on. Like, so many different things, so many of the new bugs from this patch are all related to how close or far away you are from sometimes an inanimate object and sometimes another player. So like, I don't know, bro. I just like don't know. It's so weird. And it's like, and this is pretty game breaking because if you're a solo and you don't freaking know, like when I'm playing with Velian, I can be like, oh, I see your flashlight, we're bugged. But if you don't know, bro, and you're trying to play tactical or you're not just a Shift W Giga Chad, you don't know if you're literally broadcasting your location to other people through walls. You could be literally not moving specifically because you don't want to make any sound. And they could see you just swiveling back and forth. They could pre-nade you, pre-fire you, and you'd be like, that dude's cheating. It's scuffed.
Oh my God.
Scoofed.
Yeah, okay, so here I have all of the logs. There's 5 different files. There's application.log, errors.log, notifications.log, traces.log. Can anybody actually like do like I can't do like 4 and backend.log, okay? Now if you look at backend.log, it's literally just a timestamp with saying that it sent a request to like parad.escape from tarkov.com/client/game/start menu locale languages game config globals. It's just telling you like all of the fucking requests that are being sent, keep alive, generate loot, blah blah blah, all this other shit. Completely like that's not going to help them figure out like any of the bugs that we've ever talked about. Okay, then you look at traces.log, and I'm looking at the one from today. The application has been awakened. They're going to raise exceptions. Obfuscation of the application succeeded. Blah blah blah. NVIDIA Reflex is available on this machine. The status is okay. And then there's an object that has like the game settings, and it's like the language. The field of view, head bobbing, like it's basically just your game settings. Then there's the sound settings. All that is all of the data dump from the server of what your settings are, presumably so it's server side. So like if you uninstall the game and reinstall the game, it's not like doesn't have to be stored locally every time the game launches. So technically, if you had EFT on 2 different computers, you could launch it over here and all of your settings would be retained, right? So presumably that's the reason why.
Interesting.
So it's all of those things, and then it's just a bunch of requests. Like there's nothing here, anything. The battle eye initialized successfully. Okay, whatever. There's that. And then there's notifications.log. And this is just like you received a service notification, you received a ping, all this other stuff. I'm assuming that's my guess is push notifications from the server, like almost like, hey, Prep War has an insurance return for you. I'm assuming that's what that is, so that it like pings. Gotcha. So that's what shows that little badge. So none of that's relevant, right? Then you look at errors.log, a single error even though there's probably 27 bugs I encountered, right, in the one raid I played. It's no foldable found on weapon is match SV98 container clone. Cool, man. Sick.
Cool, man.
And then there's application.log, and all that is actually it's all of your game settings, and that's basically it. So when they're like send us your logs, submit a bug report. When they say submit a bug report, and then they say it's helpful to know like what the bug is, but also like to have your logs. This is why I'm like, the logs are not gonna fucking help.
Yeah.
None of the log info, I promise you, none of it is gonna explain why players were invisible. None of it's gonna explain why the sound is scuffed, or why the flashlights are
are 360ing like a maniac.
None of the logs are fucking useful. So that's why it would be way more valuable to have like an official Tarkov subreddit thread where you could like upvote common issues where it somehow got filtered and people could just vote on it. And then like, you want to know what the problem is? If I can reproduce it, like me, Veritas, let me sit down with the dev for an hour, have a conversation, and I can pull up the client, give me a dev build or whatever, right? Like, that's going to be way more efficient than telling 100,000 people to file a bug.
Yeah.
You're going to get more information
seriously
from me sitting down and walking through, and not just me. And like, if it's Tower with ballistics or optics, if it's you with a million other things in the game, it's not just streamers, it's not just me, but just people who are knowledgeable that can reproduce it, that have a fucking brain. Sit down with them and work through some of these things, especially when they're easily reproducible.
That's what I'm saying, dude. It's exactly what I said earlier. I like exactly that, like an officially sanctioned subreddit that's like moderated, and all it is for bugs that get upvoted so that we know the priority of how many people are experiencing something and how frequently. And at the top of that chain, whether it's devs, whether it's streamers, whether it's freaking giga chads of the community that don't stream at all, like Tower, then get to like, you know, reproduce the bug, provide that information, work with community managers, work with devs. Like, that would be infinitely more valuable to everybody, the entire player base, whether you play casually or whether you're a giga chad, at fixing and identifying and prioritizing and replicating and working on bugs that are actually impactful to the player regularly. Like, it would just be, why? Like, why? Yeah, I don't know, man. So the flashlight bug has been scuffed central. It's been super annoying. It makes Interchange like hard to play again because it's so dark. So like outside on streets, because the flashlights are like 60%, you know, as bright, it's easier to miss. But like in Interchange, in the darkness of Interchange, they're so, like you saw that clip, they're so bright. They go through the floors, they go through the walls, they go through the stores. It's just like, it makes it look so much better without the fog, but the map is still unplayable because of related lighting issues that we talked about and unrelated things that are just more egregious on that map. Like, it's sad. But so that's a big bug, dude, and I don't know what the dealio is with it. I'm not. I don't know if it took them a month to fix invisible players. I'm just like, ugh, you know what I mean? I don't know how long it's gonna take though.
I mean, like I have no motivation to play the game, at all, and hearing about all of this shit has me even less motivated. So
yeah, I understand.
I'm just gonna keep,
dude.
All I've been doing is playing Magic, and then while I've been playing Magic, I've been watching. You ever watch the channel Audit the Audit?
Mm-mm.
It's basically a lot of people have talked about like JCS, criminal psychology.
Yeah.
It's in the same realm, but what this is they look at encounters between police and citizens, where basically people are like defending their rights or pushing back against the police for all kinds of things, and you know, a good number of them are citizens being fucking idiots and morons.
Yeah.
And the police doing the right thing, and a ton of them are the police just being just patently ignorant and so depressingly fucking bad at their jobs.
Yeah.
You know, like arresting old ladies and putting them in handcuffs because they wanted to like feed cats, like slamming people to the ground who are like reporters at like public places, like just doing wild shit. And that's just been like, it's been a balm,
just Magic
a
the
salve.
Gathering and Audit the Audit.
Oh my God, dude, it's just like it. I made the mistake of doing that one raid today, and it brought up like all of these terrible fucking feelings that I just
PTSD.
Yeah, but I would check that out. The videos are really good.
I need to check it out. The only other Tarkov stuff is that tomorrow at noon Eastern Standard Time, there's a Tarkov TV Live where they're going to talk about stuff. We don't know what they're going to talk about. I would imagine some of the stuff that they've brought up in the past few weeks, i.e. like Unity 2021. They put that on their list of here's stuff that's coming soon, so maybe we'll hear about that. And then I think we're going to get some arena news. The only reason why is Dimitri and then BSG and then the Tarkov account and then the arena account all retweeted this image of two operator-looking dudes at the entrance of like a shipping container. Like they could open it behind them and presumably it would open to the arena, and one of them had a patch on his plate that said arena. So they posted that, and the official arena Twitter account retweeted it, 12 hours before this podcast tomorrow. So like presumably we'll get something, but yeah, the only other Tarkov stuff is basically that. We got a podcast tomorrow, noon Eastern time. I'm sure I'll do a TLDR video after it, but yeah, it's copium. I've been so sad because the only other game I want to play right now is Star Citizen, and that game is borked more than Tarkov right now. Just like completely unable to access. I literally stopped playing Tarkov, met up with some homies, and I opened up Star Citizen and to play the game. And I tried to launch in, and it was like error 40,000. And then all the people in my chat that are like super into Star Citizen were like F, rip. And I was like, what? And they were like, there's no fix for that bug. Like, it's like a small percentage of the population that plays Star Citizen just got this bug. It says error 40,000, and there's no fix for it. You just can't play the game until they patch it out.
Why does that sound familiar? Like, that sounds familiar somehow.
Yeah, I don't know. There was the old 30.
I feel like that was the thing when I started playing.
There's the old 30K bug that Star Citizen has
maybe
done.
That's it.
Yeah, 30K happens all the time, but 40K was a new one. Yeah, One Peg got it. I got it too. Now we've both, I think One Peg's been able to get in as well. I was able to get in like days later, but like I was DMing because I know some of the prominent Star Citizen people, and I was like DMing them. I was like, what's the fix for this? And like Captain Burks, Jay's brother, was like, bro, the only fix is wait or buy another account and hope that one doesn't get bricked too. And I was like, bump that, bro. And so like, but like 4 days later, one of my community members sent me like a super obscure Reddit thread, was like, if you do this weird string of events, you might be able to get in. And I got in, but like,
is that not like, that just seems so trivial. Like, why? I mean, like,
and that bug's been in the game for like a month. Some people have not been able to play. This new patch is 3 weeks old, and some people just haven't been able to launch the game to test out the new patch. It's wild.
Does it say like anything? Oh, it just says error 40,000.
It's and some other numbers and letters and shenanigans.
Is it 40,014?
Yep.
You may be encountering an access issue. Connection to session host failed.
Yeah. There were all sorts of threads that were like, maybe it's like a port on your router that's being used already, so your computer thinks it's malware. There was all this stuff. I'm just not smart enough to understand what that meant. All I knew is that all my Star Citizen friends were saying you just can't play the game until it's fixed. And then somebody said that there was this like super scuffed, like, try this sequence of events.
Yeah, I'm looking at literally the fucking support page.
Yeah,
where
the support page.
Here's how to fix it. Possible porting, use PC to router connectivity.
Yeah, nothing on the support page worked. What I ended up doing was, this is what worked for me, okay? I went on the Star Citizen website, logged into my account, found like a cheap item that I had, refunded it to the store for store credit, and bought it back. logged out
And
of the
that fixed
launcher,
it?
logged back into the launcher, and I got in the game.
So that's where it's like, if that's the case, why the fuck are they talking about port?
I don't know.
PC router
That's what
connectivity.
I'm saying, bro.
Like, clearly, it's just like, I mean, I say clearly, I know it. I have no idea, but like, here's what I would do if I was a developer. I'd open up the repository, and I would do a search all for 40014 and then hit enter to see where the fucking error is, you know, created. Or, I mean, like, if it's something that, like, you can't trace the path, you know, find the most prominent person that has, you know, a content creator. The only reason I say content creator again is because, like, they're vetted in a way, they're known. It's not just some random person. Send them a fucking dev build that has specific logs, that all it does is it logs a shit ton of debug information, because that's the other thing too. When you're in development, you have debug logging on, which spams. It's like, I'm doing everything ever. Player turn left 3 degrees, redoing lighting,
to figure out where the
and you have a shit ton of stuff. And now it's stuff that would fill up, like, you know, gigabytes of data, you know, in text if every person ran it on their machine. So then when you go into production, it's a much streamlined, more secure, less, you know, crazy set of logs, but you lose all that context. Just send someone you trust who has this issue. Go on Twitter. I'm sure someone with 1 million subs on YouTube is probably tweeting that they have this issue. Yeah. Just meet with them, have them sign an NDA, and send them a fucking developer build. And it would probably take an afternoon to diagnose it. If it was reproducible.
Here's the thing, is that, like, they fixed it, but they were waiting to deploy the fix into a 0.1 patch. That was the rub, was that, like, so 3.18 was out in the live servers and everyone was having this issue, and they immediately were like, oh, we're working on it. And then, like, maybe a week, 5 days later, they were like, hey, we're testing 3.18.1 on the public test servers, the PTU, which is their ETS, these, like, test servers. So we're testing 3.18.1, and everybody was like, smooth, boom, got in, no problem, everybody's good. And that was 2 weeks ago, and 3.18.1's not out. So the people are like, why can't you just deploy a smaller patch that just fixes this so people can play your damn game and save all these other fixes that you have for smaller problems for a 0.1 patch? Maybe there's something to it. I don't know, but
probably because it's a lot of stress. Even doing a simple deployment of a new update is like a, you know, Thursday afternoon, all hands on deck. Let's all sit down. You merge everything in. You have, you know, you double check. It's like the surgeon being like, all right, we've got the oxygen. Okay. Everybody's wash your hands. Okay. We've got the scalpels. We've got all the things. Okay. I'm going to make the incision here. You know, that's like, I'm going to press the button. Anybody, you know, because what you don't want to do is hit the thing. And then all of a sudden, blink, 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 you start getting emails from 10,000 people saying, I can't access the thing. You know, and you're like, oh, I broke something. Oh, fuck. And then you panic and then you lose your whole weekend. Right. So it's like, maybe they've already gone through the QA testing and a few other things, and they're just waiting to push it out. They don't want to have to cherry pick this one commit on top of the last update branch that they pushed out, retest it, make a new one, deploy it, hope they don't break something. Yeah.
They might have real reasons, but it's just been weird to be able to play seamlessly in the test servers for over 2 weeks when it's been 3+ weeks since you deployed the patch, and a small percentage of your player base just can't play. Like, it's been super weird. Anyways.
There's probably, like, breaks some other shit that they just don't want to talk about.
So, like, that's, like, the only other game I want to play is Star Citizen, and I haven't been able to play it. I finally got in, so I'm going to try and play some Star Citizen this weekend. But, yeah, it's been a whole weird shenanigans.
Oh, God. Now this also makes me wonder, like, I used to get shit from some other folks over the course of my software development career for, like, the number of commits that I would make, because I might have, like, a feature might be 300 lines of code, and I'll break that up into, like, 20 commits, because, like, and what that means is like, I'm saying this line, and then another one line and another file, one line, like, that is all fixing this one particular thing, or building in this thing, or adding a label here, and then another, like, separating them out into a lot of small, descriptive, succinct commits, because that makes what's called cherry picking easier. If you ever have to do that,
yeah,
you ever have to revert, like, oh, this label's broken, revert this commit or whatever. And it could be that the guy, like, I wouldn't put it past, if it's a small dev team, for the guy who was like, hey, you're tasked to fix this bug. He's in the middle of building like new spaceship physics.
Yeah.
And is like, oh, okay. Also fixes this one thing, puts it as a, and then takes all 1,200 lines of code that he's changed over the last 2 weeks in one fat commit and merges into a branch. So then it's like, oh, well, can't you just implement the fix just and put that in? It's like, well, you'd have to rewrite the code because you can't cherry pick that one thing. Using Git, what you can do is literally say there's like a hash and say this change, apply it on top of this branch.
Yeah.
So it would be the account fix bug, do it on top of the .18.0 release branch, and then deploy that. But he probably didn't. Like, that's a way in which the reason why, like, maybe they haven't deployed it, because it just got thrown in with a bunch of other shit.
Of other stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense, but I know nothing about that stuff. But yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't know. But yeah, that's the Tarkov news. That's the Star Citizen news. That's the audit news. Do we want to do a quick story time, or?
I mean, I'm down.
Yep. The people.
I don't give a fuck if we have like 4-hour episodes.
Yeah, same. Honestly, the people have wanted it. I had a quick story time happen to me. I don't know if you saw my tweet. Did you ever watch the show Hot Ones?
I saw like a couple episodes like 2 years ago.
Okay. The classic, the one everybody knows is the worst hot sauce on the table, is the one called Da Bomb Beyond Insanity. Okay?
Monka.
Okay. I got some of that in my eye this weekend.
Fuck off, man.
Bro, okay. This is what happened, bro. Me and my wife and my kids were walking around World Market. All right, we don't go to World Market often. My wife wanted something in there. We were in there. We were walking around. I saw a hot sauce that I saw on Hot Ones. So I picked that up with my right hand. I was like, babe, I was like this. And then as I was picking it up, I saw Da Bomb. So I was like this. Oh, and look. And I picked it up with my left hand. And I was like, they have Da Bomb. And she was like, yo, that's crazy. I was like, I know. I put him back.
And then you were like, go.
Yeah. I put him.
Check this out.
I put him back. We're walking around. Walk to the line. My allergies were acting up crazy that day, dude. So I go like this. The actual femtosecond my finger touched my eye, I was like, what's wrong? I was like, and every time I blinked, it was like, you know how like in decibels, every 3 decibels is a doubling in sound? Every time I blinked, it was a doubling in pain.
Because you're just coating the rest of your eye with more of the fucking...
And what had to have happened is that bottle was shipped in a case of bottles where one broke. Because it was a sealed bottle. And all I did was pick it up and put it back down. And I touched... I mean, and I went in there. I mean, I went to rub my eye, bro. And when I tell you, like... From the time I touched my eye to 30 seconds after that, I was handing my kid to my wife, and I was like, I have to go. Bye. Like, I was crying. I couldn't physically open my left eye, and I just ran to because at that time I didn't even realize what was happening. I hadn't put the 2 and 2 together that I had just picked up the bomb, and I was.
Was there an eye wash station?
No, bro. I was just in the bathroom, just like pressing cold wet paper towels to my eye, and it was like 10-15 minutes I couldn't open my eye because it was so excruciatingly painful to open it and then close it again. It was unreal. I've never had pain, searing pain, just like ramp up. You know what I mean? Like, what you're just like, if you're stabbed, it's just like 0 and 100. There is no in between. It just went 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to 100. It just like ramped.
Probably what it's like when you eat it.
Yeah,
this isn't so bad. oh, fuck.
Yeah,
which is how every episode is.
100%, 100%. And it was in my eye, and dude, it hurt so bad. At one point, when I finally was able to open my eye again, I looked in the mirror and I opened my eye, and it was just like blood red. My left eye was just like blood red, and I was like, dude, panic. Bro. I was like, I can't drive home. Like it was, dude, I was like,
that sounds miserable.
Breaking down in the middle of a world market, like.
Oh my God. Fuck
so
that.
if you ever see that stuff, don't pick it up just in case there's some leaked in the box. Use gloves. It was
people eat this willingly.
Dude, yeah. It was unbelievable. It was very painful. But a funny story.
I got a little bit of shampoo in my eye for the first time in like literally a decade the other day, and it was like an hour of like, fuck. I can't imagine.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was such a trace amount.
Yeah, fuck that. Well, I'm glad to see you didn't lose an eye.
Yeah, thank God. Thank God.
I've got a short story time too.
Yeah, let's do it.
This one's called "Applying to Become an RA." I'm not even going to say what the other half is. So there was a period of time. There was a period of time in college where I was considering being an RA, not because I wanted to be an RA, but because it's like I would be the fucking cool RA on the floor that like you know like
RA
wouldn't
again?
the people in the dorms where there's like one student, they always get a solo room by themselves. They don't have a roommate, and they're the ones that like do the rounds, you know, they make sure people are following the rules. They're usually fucking douchebags.
Yeah.
You know, they're the ones like knocking on your door after hours being like, turn down the, you know, they're power hungry, you know, douches. But I was like, oh, and also they pay for your room and board.
Dude, free room and solo room?
It's free room and board, solo room, and then also it's like, yo, I'm gonna change the way shit's done around here. I'm gonna be the cool, you know, I'm gonna be the, like, you know, your mother, like, I'm gonna be the cool parent, you know, that kind of thing. Dorm Discord mods, yeah, there you go.
That's great.
Now I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it or not, but what I did was there was one day where they let you shadow, so that you were gonna be with the RAs for like a night to see if you wanted to apply. Now, at the time, so my wife was 2 years behind me in school.
Okay.
I think I was a junior and she was a freshman. Now, she lived in, we called it the Sixer. All of the dorm rooms were all like doubles. But I guess there like wasn't enough housing. At the end of the hallway, there's a big room that was basically just had a bunch of tables and stuff, like a study room.
Yeah.
They converted that into like a big dorm room where there were 6.
That sounds awful.
6 girls, but they were all on the volleyball team together.
Okay.
They were all friends and stuff, and shit got wild. Okay, I'm not even gonna get into anything there other than
the Sixer.
Six girls, lots of consumption of adult beverages. And like half of the girls were promiscuous and the other half had boyfriends, so there was just always like staying over, you know, whatever. Now, Thursday night was like the big night. I don't know if it's like this in every college, but Thursday night was like one of, you know, Thursdays was like one of the big party nights. That was one of the nights I was shadowing. Now, I knew that there was a bunch of people that shouldn't be in the room after certain hours doing things they shouldn't have been doing. So time came to do the rounds. I like pulled out my phone and was like texted my wife to be like, we're coming around. Like, tell everybody to shut the fuck up. All the guys, there was 3 bunk beds, and it was almost always like if the RAs ever knocked on the door, you know, the guys would like put the sheets over their head, and, you know, everybody would pretend like they were sleeping, you know, as long as they don't hear the guy's voice, you know, whatever. And we're walking down the hallways, and all of a sudden we hear on the walkie-talkie, you know, hey, we got a situation, you know, whatever it was. It was like sounded like some police shit. And then all of a sudden they said, and also we're calling the police. And I'm like, whoa, like that never happens, you know? So oh my God, I'm trying to remember the specific details. Apparently what had happened was one of the girls in my wife's dorm room, her cousin or brother was visiting, and he was, I guess, a crazy motherfucker. I can't explain. I'm not going to explain or justify why he did what he did. I'm just going to say what he did.
Okay.
Because we had to wait for the police to get there, and we had to talk to this guy and all this stuff. What was reported was apparently he went up to a random girl's room, opened the door, didn't knock, opened the door, and two girls were sleeping. He walked over into the corner, pulled his pants down, and just took a piss in the corner of the room. Now imagine you're a girl in college, you wake up and there's just a man pissing.
Nope.
In the corner of your room. You're like, what the fuck is going on? So like we hear all this going down, and of course we're like, well, where is this guy? Who is he? We don't know. Well, it turns out he ended up going and like hiding in her room.
Yikes.
So we're like, we're coming down. We're gonna like, everybody needs to like, the guys had to jump out the window, like all this other stuff. But the dude was hammered. He was there. He didn't even like hide or anything. And he was so confused because he's like, I went into the bathroom. Like, what do you mean? I went into the bathroom. He's like, bro, that was not a bathroom, you know, whatever.
Yep.
But here's the inscrutable part of this whole thing. We were like, you have to call, like the police are going to be coming. Like, do you have a ride? You have to call for a ride. But in the meantime, the police, oh no, this is when the police were there. And we were just like watching the police talk to the guy. They were like, do you have your license or some sort of ID? And the guy pulled out his ID and they were talking to him and whatever. And then at one point, that's when they asked him, like, do you have a ride? You like call for a ride or whatever. And he said, yeah. And what he did was, let me see if I can describe. He had his ID. He had like his ID in his hand. And when they said, can you like call for your ride? He looked around, he reached into his pocket, and he pulled out a $5 bill. He very carefully wrapped the $5 bill around his wallet and put it up to his ear and proceeded to have a conversation on the phone with someone who was going to pick him up.
What? Brother was in outer space.
I don't know if the guy did mushrooms or what.
Yo.
It was, I have no. He looks around, takes out a $5 bill, wraps it around his license,
bro,
and it's like
that.
Hey, yo, can you come pick me?
That's something. He was on something, bro.
And we all just kind of like,
are you serious?
What the fuck is going on here? Like, hello?
Bro, that's outrageous.
And of course, I'm like, yeah, I'm never becoming an RA. Like, this is what you do?
That was the moment where you were like, you know what? I'll pay for my own room and board.
And all the girls had to get like written up, and so they get like in trouble. It was this whole big thing, and I tried to do my best to like help. Yeah, you know, but like, what a fucking mess.
But that's something you definitely don't ever forget. A man literally wrapping a $5 bill around his own driver's license and then having a conversation with it.
Puts it up to his ear.
That's classic. What the hell, dude? Life crazy.
Yeah. So that's applying to become an RA / the driver's license telephone.
The driver's, I saw that on the list and I was like, the driver's license telephone. And then as the story was progressing, I was like, does this mean this man really tried to use his driver's license as a telephone? Damn. That's insane.
Yeah, and I wish I had more context. Like what happened, why? I don't know whose room it was. All I know is that like the dude went and pissed in a girl's room and then tried to have a conversation on his $5 bill. And I'm like, yo, what? This is real life.
There's a mystery there. Like that dude was tripping balls. That dude was on something. Holy cow. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, dude, the reprise of story time, a double whammy too, a double whammy. But yeah, that's about it, dude. The episodes have been getting longer and longer. They've been creeping up to like 2.5 hours, which I love. I don't even care, dude. I think it's great. And everybody seems to be loving it. We've been getting views on the Spotify and on YouTube. So
yeah, man,
you guys are awesome. So thank you. Thank you for checking out the podcast and stuff. But yeah, so that's all the stuff. I know that we are doing this. Like, I know, like, I can already see it. We're doing this podcast today. Literally tomorrow, they're doing a podcast. They're going to announce Tarkov is free to play and there's cosmetics. And then we're going to post this on Monday and all the comments are going to be, why didn't you talk about this? But at the same time, there was the patch and I felt like there was enough to talk about. So we did the podcast. And so yeah, so this was recorded on Thursday. It is recorded normally on Thursdays. We'll post it early Monday morning. And then next week we will talk about, I'm sure, break down the podcast and what Tarkov talks about and stuff. But yeah, so thank you guys for hanging. Thank you for the support. It's been crazy. Thank you for allowing us to do this. It's been a fun. It's been a blast. It's been a fun. It's been a fun. A singular fun. I've had a fun with you. And so yeah, thank you for hanging. And we will definitely see y'all on the next one.
Been a fun.